Live tonight, Architects of Humanity, the zoo, the lab, and the farm. Seems like we're on all three. Like we go to different stages, whether it be the zoo, which it seems to start off as, which turns into the laboratory. And then from that, we might be on the farm, on the conveyor belt. I mean, this is something that seems self evident. As we just observed, it seems like we're in a zoo. And on the next step, when you look at all of the experiments that are being done in the air and the food and the land, seems like the middle picture of the lab. Then the processing unit on the right, the food. I mean, who knows what's in the food system right now? So this is why I thought it'd be fitting to do a stream about the theory I have of what we're in. Is it a zoo that is part lab and part farm? Because it definitely doesn't seem like what we're told it is. A country, I'm not sure. A civilization, definitely not. More like a cult of death, like we spoke about many times before. Radio controlled humans, as I had did a stream about before. The fact that they have devices that can alter cells and other parts shows a lot of brings up a lot of questions. Like say, what's up, Mark? Good to see you, brother. We are in something very, very odd. And this is why I put this picture when I did this other stream of the guy on his visor. He has cumulus clouds, a sky, a beautiful blue sky, and that's what he's seeing through the visor. The trails, the cameras, the 100% surveillance that we live in. But again, it seems to be a cult of death. Does not seem to be. Understanding this has a power. It has the power of bringing us out of Fantasy Island. When we are being experimented on in certain ways, and anybody can look this up, when people try to deny the fact that things are being sprayed, all they have to do is type in how many experiments has the US government done on citizens through spraying airborne pathogens and chemicals. And it's a little over 200 that they'll be open about. One in San Francisco, where I think about 800,000 people had been sprayed upon with bacteria that comes from fecal matter. I mean, so basically they're spraying crap on people and people don't care. Rick James, the name, oh, Internet of Bodies like OnStar that cars have. Yeah, yeah. I think that's the one where the car, like they have control of the car. I remember in the early 2000s, a friend of mine, his parents had a Lexus that he was boasting about that if they happened to lock the keys in the car, Lexus had a thing where they had a helicopter that would come in the area and unlock the car like from the air, basically with a remote control somehow. And when you think about that, it seems great, but that gives them more control. Rick James said, Zach sent me. Zach, man, that brother he's got a great channel, man. He left a comment earlier today. I got to go say what's up on his channel when he's streaming. I stream late. Yeah. And yeah, man, he's definitely cool, brother. Great knowledge, has educated me on a lot of stuff, man. I've definitely been looking into Gematria. We are 802.15.5. Okay. Okay, I hear you, man. Yeah, I got to get into more of, I know the anagram meanings of many words. And I know with a comment that somebody had left a couple of days ago referring to the 111, the 11 and the 111, 111 days, it was something that something happened. And I'm thinking, okay, there might be a way to to figure out a code in gematria to predict something, being that we see how these things happen afterwards and we say this was either, it matches up to one of the numbers, the 68, the 111, maybe even the 133, or just the basic 33s when events happen, to try to figure it out. Because as we're sitting here in this zoo / laboratory / farm, we could be trying to figure this. I mean, the fact that people already, like Zach, studies gematria helps a lot, because it opens up the mind of people that would normally not have nothing to think in that direction about. So his channel is like, it's like a lighthouse that wakes people up. And I appreciate that people that's our electric type code frequency, I guess. Wow, man. And you know something, being that you typed that in, that must be something. There was a lady that wrote a book, Dr. Hulda Clark, and the book was called The Cure to All Diseases. And I think it wasn't a Rife machine, but it was a kind of thing that she had schematics to build, where it was called the zapper. You hold on to 2 copper rods that are a little moist, and it fluctuates at a frequency that kills the parasites. So I'm wondering if what you're putting here is the frequency that we kind of run on, like you're saying, our electrical type code, or frequency. Could that be used to do the same thing to us that the machine she talked about would eliminate parasites? Remember, the people don't realize how much the rich really despise the poor. And if you're put it this way, if you're working, you're considered the poor. So it's like people will say middle class, whatever. It's like, hey, we already know how they look at us. Mr. X, what's up, man? Good to see you.
Good to see you, MD. Good to see you. It should be an interesting topic. Can't wait to hear.
Yeah, man. Very close to the lab. Very close. Some parts it's a zoo, and some parts it's the farm.
Mm-hmm.
So the zoo lab farm hypothesis, which is moving more solidly into a theory, and I would say it's fact in many instances, because when the factual, somebody might say, well, what's the evidence that you have that it's a fact? And I would say, well, for the lab, the fact is that we see the experiments going on in the environment. There was a guy that had a video, I should have saved it, but he was talking about the solar engineering, that it's a real plan to try to block out the sun.
Wow.
Billionaires. Yeah, it's a real plan. People can look this up. This is insane. It's just like what they were saying in the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
When he said, I don't know who started the war, but he said, I know it was us who blocked out the sun. And then you see what's happening, and it's like, holy smokes. I mean, the Matrix with that, and then what Zach had said about the Terminator stepping on the skull. Oh, Zach, what's up, bro? He says, if you can, turn on the feature that allows your guests to stream to their own channel, and I'll start hopping on more of these late stream and help you get more views and subs. Yes, definitely. How do I turn on the feature that allows my guests to stream their own channel?
Interesting.
Is that on StreamYard, or is it on the YouTube back end? I'll look it up right now, man. I appreciate that, Zach, and good to see you, man. Definitely. Yeah, let me see. Biofarm Machines, Mark. Yeah, definitely someday. I'm gonna look this up right now. Turn on the feature that allows your guests. Yes, it's a StreamYard feature on the back end. Okay, I'm gonna open
I
up.
guess if you look under, or do you look under my account and see if it allows me to StreamYard my own stream? Maybe that's how it's done.
Okay, my account. I'm looking at it right now. Um, Home account. Trying to see contact. My support tickets. Let me see. Library destinations. I think it's under that. Okay, destinations. Add a destination. Okay, it says add a destination, Zach. Do I let me see. Do I put your URL on the on the thing here? Let me see if I can so it allow, but I don't know if, because it's saying destinations, so I
Hmm.
think that's destinations where I can stream to. Hmm. Let me look it up on
Allow your guests to live stream.
allow guest. It says destinations. Let me see. How do I allow guests to live stream? Let me see. What did he write in the chat? Uh, you shouldn't have to do anything once the feature's on. It should be the guest who controls if they stream to their own channel. Okay.
Oh, I see. I see. So if I'm on here, I should have an option to stream to my own channel.
Yes, exactly.
Hmm.
To allow guests to stream to their own channels on StreamYard, you must enable the guest destinations feature in your studio. Both you and your guests will need to take a few steps to get it set up. Okay. Yeah, I'll set it up. I just got to figure it out. If you want to walk me through it, I'm looking. I'm back. I have the StreamYard window open for this right here, and and I have another StreamYard window open, and that one um, on the left. Hmm. Let me see. Yeah, this is to stream uh my stream on their channel. I guess that's what it would be. How do I guess? So Zach is saying restream best for multi-channel. Click invite guests, and guests can rebroadcast. So where is that though? That's the thing on the channel. Like where I'm looking backstage to see where it says like, yeah, like Zach was saying on the last comment, both you and your guests will need to take a few steps to get it set up. Um, yeah, we're like lab rabbits, man. Definitely. Hella topic, man. I appreciate that, man. Rick James, Uncle Rick, John, good to see you, man. Yeah, man. Um, I'm trying to toggle between windows to see. All right, copy the link, copy the invitation link and send it to your guest. But that's the link I think I put on the top of the channel all the time. Hmm. Let me see. Guest join, pair their channels, and your stream broadcast to both accounts. Hmm. A little slow on the internet stuff. I'm not really that great with it. All right. The host must have a paid plan. Guests can pair up to two channels. Compare up to two channels for free. I do have a paid plan. Um, hmm. I gotta see if Scribe might be able to figure it out easily. Let me ask him. Please see how from number games uh, to stream our broadcast on StreamYard. All right. Yeah, I should have. Somebody was asking this a while ago, and I didn't figure it out. So
Hmm.
it's like, yeah, yeah. I'll
Sometimes you can watch a YouTube video and it'll show you. Sometimes
yeah,
YouTube
yeah,
videos are easier.
because yeah, it's basically in Restream Studio. Click invite guests. Toggle on guests can rebroadcast to their channels. I guess this is afterwards, but I'm seeing where it says in Restream Studio. I don't even see where Restream Studio is at. Um, I'll see if Scribe can figure it out. I don't want to toggle down the stream too much, but uh, yeah, Rick is right. Yeah, the topic of lab rats, man, and
Now, how
appreciate.
would you,
Huh?
well, how would you like to be a little more specific on how we're lab rats or It's just the testing that they do, the random testing on different.
Well, it's more than just the random testing. It's like the picture I posted for the thumbnail, and
Hmm.
saying that with a lab rat and how a lab rat is tested, um, you have the agent or whatever it is, a chemical, the food, the test that they're using on the rat, and
Mm.
then observing the rat for what effects you're trying to look for. Like, let's just say when they put the estrogen in the water, and we see that, okay, with the rats, or a better example would be when they gave the water with spiked with cocaine, and then water spiked with sugar. And I think it was like 17 out of 20 chose the sugar water, and 3 rats chose the water with cocaine, showing
Hmm.
that more rats would choose be addicted to the sugar over a hard drug like cocaine. So now, being that we are in some sense like a lab rat, that that they would look at society and what they put in the supermarkets and put on the street corners, on and in the, I guess cocaine is sold more, probably delivery or private or whatever, in their circles, and they watch the effect. They say, okay, in the experiment that we do with the lab rats, we're also doing this with the humans, and we're seeing that they also actually have that same ratio, where maybe it's more, maybe it's a little less, but this is how they figure out things like Oreo cookies are 6 to 10 times more addictive than cocaine hydrochloride. Um, and then they look in society and they see how, look at how kids act in the uh, in the grocery store.
Sure.
Kids don't, yeah, they don't know how to fake their addictions like adults. They will give you the raw, uncut feelings, and you can see the pain of their withdrawals from parents previously not knowingly doing the experiment, administering the experiment for the state to their own children, and paying for it when they buy these uh, these cereals, these cookies, and the supermarket is loaded with them. The chips. I'm
Yeah.
still addicted. Every now and then
Me, me too. Me too.
you
Include me
know.
in that one.
So if we're addicted, imagine how hard it is, how hard it hits an adolescent.
Hmm.
So it's really, really, yeah. And the sweeter drink is cheaper. You're absolutely right, Miss
True.
Cole. Yeah, this I remember those 25-cent barrel plastic juices when I was a kid. I can't even call it juice. It was just red water.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was just garbage. And you know, yeah, it's really, it is,
Just put a
it's
little sugar in something, and it's wonderful.
yeah,
Basically.
yeah. The
Yeah.
nonstop bad news affects us all. Exactly. So, what we feed our minds mentally, that's part of the experiment. So, just the way they would do that experiment in the lab, we're also in a big zoo lab farm. So, you look at that where you might say, okay, how are we akin to lab rats? And it's like, okay, well, the same test that they do on the rats, even if you can look them up and you could say, wow, that's a supermarket. That they don't even have it. They have us in a big open air type of cage, and you'll see where you can slip in and out of parts of the cage, but really they have a world surveillance grid. Basically, that's what they're working on, to where you can't escape. If you try to, like, say, leave on a boat, um, oh, Scribe just sent me the instructions. Step by step, turn on the setting host before the stream starts. The host needs to make sure guest streaming is enabled. Okay, okay, I'll check that after. Yeah, and I'll send him the link. So I guess I can't do it now. Oh, X popped off. Um, I can't. I'll do it when it starts. But I really appreciate that, Jack, man. Thank you so much, man, for offering that. I just This is
Yeah,
great.
that's great. That's wonderful. 'Cause he has great stuff also, so that'd be
Yeah,
a great combination, you and him together. I mean, that
yeah.
would be
It's just
something.
it's just streaming, and he's helping me out like that. That's so great. Miss Cool Gem. Yeah, the government subsidizes sugar foods. It also subsidizes when you look at the dairy industry, the meat industry. It'll subsidize the farming, the sprayed corn. It'll pay certain farmers to bury the corn sometimes, from what I've
Mhm.
um, so that really, it gets to a point where it's 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 really, it's a situation that we're in. It's like a lab rat figuring out that it's a lab rat. you know
Yeah.
it can know it's in the zoo. So like at first, when it's imprisoned in the lab or in the cage or the tank, it could mistaken it for a zoo, just the way we might see that the city or the suburbs or even the rural areas are like zoos. And
Mm.
we can travel to the other zoos within it. But then we start to look in the sky and see things. We see the clouds that look unnatural and stuff like that. And we we start to be like, okay, so it seems as if we're something's going on. We're being experimented on. The chemical spill from Ohio in East Palestine that happened a few years ago, and then they ignited it to make a plume of chemicals that could be seen in the atmosphere. I mean, we showed pictures on it on old streams. So where it's like, holy smokes! Now they're going to come out with an official narrative. Well, we just decided to ignite it. We didn't. They knew exactly what they were doing, which was
Mhm.
experimenting on us. And now the fact that the majority of people are zombified. So not only will they not know we're being experimented on, that's the first level. But the second level is they'll attack anybody mentally, verbally, maybe even physically, who says, look, this is an experiment. This is crazy, and both sides are so zombified politically. When Biden was in office and they did that, Democrats were trying to say, well, Trump, he changed the laws which allowed the trains to be able to not have to stop to be inspected. And that's why it happened. Trying to say, well, Biden trying to exonerate. And I'm saying, wait, well, why didn't he change him back then? I mean,
Exactly.
yeah, you have this thing where, and now when Trump does something bad, it's, oh, well, it was Biden's fault. No, it's so, the zombie, that type of
Mhm.
experiment is ridiculous.
It is. It really is. It's just a matter. It's just a way of controlling people. That's all it is.
Yeah,
Because then somebody has something to blame rather than the whole government itself. They can say, okay, it was Trump's fault. Now Biden's there. Now and then you know what I mean. It just goes back and forth
it's back.
instead of looking. Yeah.
It's the same. It's like it's the same entity, and
Hmm.
and it's saying like, oh no, it was these guys. Oh, it's that guy. I mean, it's so ugly. It's so horrible. Because it's like during the experiment, you have the politicians that are overseeing the experiment in a way like they're sort of like the people saying, look, don't worry, go back to sleep. Everything is under control.
Well, I
And
think they're the puppets too. They'll say, you know what, I'm going to fight for this. We're going to put a stop to this, but they
oh
really don't
yeah,
do anything. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
it's an
It's
act. It,
it's an
straight
act.
Academy Award,
Hmm.
Academy Award. Yeah, the lab rat might just not know. Yeah, might not know what the experiment is. And a lot of us don't. Yeah, a lot of us don't, man. The pink drink for the gifted students, yeah, gotta have something to do with it. Yeah, when you think about, I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, we played outside. I remember them spraying, and they were spraying on kids playing when I was a kid to kill the moths that were eating the trees. Now, when I look at the moths and anything, the ticks and the stuff, any type of thing that they try to come off and say, well, this natural invader, something was introduced into this environment, an unnatural predator like fire ants and all of that. I don't even believe them. I'm like,
Mhm.
look, you guys put that there. This didn't happen by chance. They try to act like it happened by chance, but this is where it's the big lab. It's one big laboratory.
Yeah.
It's not all that safe inside. The new poisons, the children, man. It's inside or outside. You're catching it. Anything you look at. When I studied toxic home materials years ago, I started a company where it was to let people know how to detoxify your home. And one lady I found, I don't know if she's still around on the internet, she sold non-toxic paint. It was basically, it was almost like food grade, because all paint, the regular paint, outgasses. So when you paint it on the wall, or varnish as well, outgasses. Linoleum floors, outgasses. Furniture and beds that are soaked with flame retardants, they outgas, and people are sucking these up all night long. And then, they'll act like, well, we don't know what it is, but here's a pill that, when you do that, I think one guy gave a good example of it. He said, if there was a problem that you heard, say you're hearing, like, in the neighborhood, a humming, and you're saying, this, I think it's coming from the street pole or something. And they say, okay, we're going to take care of that. Here's a pair of headphones. And it's like, wait a second. I'm asking you to fix no, you won't hear it anymore. But that doesn't
Mhm.
fix the problem. And
Yeah.
that's what people are getting. People are saying, they're saying, hey, oh, you got a problem? Here's a pill. Here's a pill. All the morts, yes. Miss Cool Gem, you know something? Over 90% of the bumblebees are missing in North America. And the
Mm.
crazy thing is, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Yeah, the PJs outgas, the fact that the beds are soaked in this stuff. The new product smell is definitely not good. That new car smell, I remember there was a lady scientist that she was on a program on Pacifica Radio. I used to listen to it. They broadcast out of New York City, and they're called WBAI. I don't know if they still broadcast. I think they're on the internet though. But she was saying the new car smell is over 140 chemicals
Wow.
in some cars. So that's what you're getting. She was saying how toxic it is. Like when your car window is rolled up and you open the car door and it's got that smell. Even if the car is years old, you'll have to, I mean, it's got to be like over a decade old for that to even dissipate. And I'm not even sure how much it would dissipate. I mean, these chemicals, some of them could basically be the PFAS, the polyfluorocarbonates that are forever chemicals. So when we look at something called a forever chemical that does not diminish in the environment, and you say, well, wait a second, then it's there. Even if I'm not smelling it, it's still there.
Yeah.
It's at a level where I don't detect it, or there's some things that you don't detect the smell. This is why they have to add in a smell to propane, so you'll know if there's a propane leak because it's a leak because it's odorless. I mean, we live the technology and the stuff with we see that the modern world runs on. This is on such a high level of understanding physics that it seems to go beyond the average human. That it seems that something else is working with humans administering this. I mean, just the fact that, like, when you make steel tanks to hold a type of gas, say it be propane or some other acetylene or oxygen, the the metal, the steel, the weird thing about it, steel, you know how they have certain vitamins and minerals that are water soluble. So, or soluble. So you have something that is like THC from cannabis is oil and fat soluble. It's not soluble in water.
Hmm.
Now, when you look at steel, hydrogen is soluble. It's hydrogen can get in between the atoms of steel. And this over time, like when I look at this, I say, wow, you're looking at a high level of science to where this hydrogen can go in between. And then I think it is methane, where methane starts to get in between it. And this can form structural integrity problems that can
Mm.
allow these tanks to explode over time. So they had to combat this with figuring out, like, okay, do we drill holes like certain pipes? This is they've had figured it out. And I'm looking at this thing going through the science and I'm saying, holy smokes. I said, this is on the level of like basically what somebody would say is wizardry. It's like any magic is just undiscovered science. But there's always going to be something that science can't explain. You know, you can have a truth that can't be observed, but it is the truth. Like somebody, you witness a lady having a baby, right? So you know she had the baby. Years later, no videotape, nothing, no genetic tests, let's just say. There's no way you can prove it, but you know it's the truth.
Right.
So there is, you know, and these are logical questions that make our mind stretch and expand so we grow bigger. Zach, what's up, brother? Good to see you, man.
Hey, good to see you, Zach.
Yeah, thanks for having me on again. You brought up the East Palestine crash, something that's been lost in almost everyone's minds in the United States, amnesia. And now you're talking about this sorcery thing. Are you aware of the film White Noise and how that intersected with that crash?
I heard some about it where I think it came out a year prior, right?
Yeah, there's a similar disaster in the movie. And I'd encourage you, I know you got to watch Office Space already, but if you want to add to your movie list, you might also want to watch this White Noise film. Right before the disaster in the movie, that's very similar to what played out in the news, they show a stack of books. And in the background right now, I'm trying to pull up my screenshot from the movie, and I can end up sharing it on your screen too. But
Sure.
this stack of books is quite telling.
Yeah. Just I'll pop it up when I see it on the back. And
yeah, here I'll share screen in just a moment. I found the slide here.
I heard that they used people from the East Palestine town even in the film. I'm not sure if it's true, but I had heard that. Okay, here it is.
So
right, here it is. Yeah.
Whoops, I'm zoomed in on the wrong thing. Can you see what's on those books on your end?
Yes, I see the occult,
Not of This World, Witches and Witchcraft.
Wow. Yeah, I could see Not of This World on the top, Witches and Witchcraft. Yep. In like right in the middle. I would say going toward the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, this thing that I focus on my channel, this Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words. You know, you hear the name East Palestine, it automatically makes you think of that other part of the world, right?
Exactly.
And I mean, look at this right here. Here's from Israel's birthday to the day that happened, 266 days in East Palestine, Ohio, 266. Keep in mind, this happened in the time of the 266th Pope, Pope Francis, the same one that spoke in D.C. on September 23rd, 2015, the 266th day of the year. His whole Pope tenure was full of 266 rituals. It's a lot to get into. But again, as I always say, all roads lead to Rome. And you learn this code. You see how the Jesuit Catholic fingerprints are all over the creation of state of Israel from then to the present. But yeah, there was so much ritualism with this. And this is the thing. This is what they do to us in our nation. They just bombard us with one crazy story after the next. And in no time, everyone's forgotten all the craziness that just happened in months past. But yeah, imagine that it was so that accident was no accident, and it was just another wicked ritual pulled off on humanity, because that's what it appears to be.
Yeah, definitely a wicked ritual, especially when they ignited it. And I noticed that in the other picture you had, it looked like the monkey from, I think it's Monkey Shines or something, like that little monkey with the symbols it was holding with the books. Yeah, to the right. I don't know if that is the same. Very similar to the monkey in Toy Story, but more in, I think, the movie Monkey Shines. There's something with that monkey doll on the right that I've seen. for that to be in this movie may have some type of symbolism. Because I did hear that, yes, it was produced about a year prior, but also I think there were people from the East Palestine area that acted in the movie. Let me see if I can look that up. White Noise movie actors from East Palestine town, because that is odd. And even the name of the town, I was like, how does a town? It says the primary resident of East Palestine who famously appeared as an extra / actor in the 2022 movie White Noise was Ben Ratner, who was cast alongside his wife and 4 children. So local extras, all right, while Hollywood stars like Adam Driver and Greta Gerwig led the main cast, director Norman Baumbach filmed throughout Northeast Ohio in 2021, recruited hundreds of local residents to play townspeople. The specific roles played by the East Palestine family include Ben Ratner's himself, his father appears in a, so the fictional versus, yeah, they have a lot of stuff on this where in the movie, a freight train carries hazardous materials, collides with a tanker truck, releasing a massive toxic cloud. So I guess, yeah, I got to check this movie.
And just one more thing about that.
Mhm.
That happened just prior that year to the war, and with Israel and Hamas beginning, which is now extended into all these wars going on in all these nations and what's going on with the U.S. and Iran.
Mhm.
But the United States of America was 247 years old at that time. And and you see that? You see how from the accident to the start of the war, which was also the anniversary of us going into Afghanistan, October 7th, which, by the way, if you look up, is a very, it's a day the Templars celebrated for a very important battle in their history, October 7th. And keep in mind, George W. Bush was the president when 9/11 happened, and he came from Skull and Bones, which gets their symbolism from how the Templars buried their dead in an ossuary. But the 247 is not an arbitrary number. In a lunar cycle, which is 19 years, there's 247 months in a complete lunar cycle, and we know certain people in the world go by the moon. So I mean, how many horror movies have there been made where they show you the full moon's up there and it's the night for the high ritualism?
Yep.
But yeah, 247 days from the incident to the war. And by the way, as a New Yorker, I'm not sure you're aware of this, but Rudy Giuliani, he was the 107th mayor of New York. 9/11 happened on the 107th day of his age. He seemed to have some prior knowledge. And then, of course, we went into Afghanistan on 10/7. And funny thing about Giuliani, you probably know this, he was the lawyer who defended the Sackler family for the opioid crisis that they were involved in and made billions off of. And he got them off the chain at the time. But of course, we went into Afghanistan. We killed the Taliban. We brought back the poppies. Opioid crisis across the world like never before. And somehow Giuliani's right there for 9/11 and to defend the probably the biggest beneficiary family off the opioid crisis.
Yes. Yeah, he definitely. They also had a book that came out after 9/11 with him on the cover that said the King of New York. Yeah, he was really, it's just ugly on top of ugly stuff. I'm looking at, man, you are dropping the knowledge with, yes, the U.S. officially went into Afghanistan October 7, 2001. Holy smokes, man. And then this thing happened recently on October 7th. That's crazy. That is so October 7th, the October 7th with the Israel thing, that was 23 or 24?
2023.
Okay, so 2023.
Just for the record, since you were talking about how you can use this knowledge likely to predict, absolutely. I mean, we've dominated the world of predictions. If you go back and watch my video from the day Netanyahu came back into power, which was Albert Pike's birthday, the one who wrote the letter about 3 world wars to come, which now they want to say might not be, it might have been a forgery. It wasn't. Look at the publishing date. It's August 15th. Big day in history. That's the day that Japan surrendered in World War II. That's the day the agreement was made to end the war in Vietnam. That's the day we just picked up and left Afghanistan after 20 years of nonsense. It's the Jesuit Order's birthday, August 15th. That's why that day comes up all the time. Trump, his brother dropped dead just the other year on August 15th, just out of nowhere. Not an accident. It's a high ritual day there, August 15th.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, probably sacrifice or something.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shoot, I lost my train of thought. I'll do that from time to time. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, no, this is amazing. I'm like, I didn't know. Again, you educated me on this. I didn't know it was October 7th. So, because it's weird, it's just like, holy smokes. Now that lines up 22 years later. You got October 7th with the Israel thing. 22 years before, of course, Afghanistan, October 7th, 2001. And that's like quick. And it's funny. It wasn't like forgetting, but I thought they might have waited at least a year. So they were in Afghanistan in less than a month after September 11th. Holy smokes. This, because I mean, you look at this and it's just like, this is just people have forgotten about 9/11. They don't even care. It just
and they called this Israel's 9/11, the October 7th thing, and it's just like, give me a break. That's what I meant to tell you. The day Netanyahu came back into power, I explained why he came back into power that day and why it mattered that there would be a significant war starting with Israel right around the time of Yale's 322nd birthday, which, by the way, was October 9th. And, of course, the war started October 7th, 2 days prior. I'm sure you know about the number 322.
No, what is it?
Well,
sounds familiar?
It's important for a lot of reasons. Skull and Bones, the secret society the Bushes are a part of at Yale is called Order 322, Skull and Bones, a.k.a. the Brotherhood of Death.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to do with some philosophers who died in the year 322, but it also has to do with Genesis 322, about knowing good and evil. And there's a lot of high ritualism around the number 322. It can pay the bills, too. That while Yale was 322 years old during March Madness, they had a game on March 22nd versus Auburn, and they were a monster underdog. I want to say they're an 18.5-point underdog. They paid about plus 1,200 to win. And if you go back and look at the box score, Yale did upset Auburn that day. Auburn scored 41 in the first half and 35 in the second half for a total of 76 points. Skull and Bones equals 41 when you run the alphabetic order forward, 76 when you run it in reverse. And you go back and you watch that game, they had balls going in that would get shot out of the rim. They're using some kind of technology in sports to ensure outcomes, especially in basketball. But again, there's so much power in this knowledge. And the more important thing is, I meant to come back to Netanyahu. The day he came back, I explained, there's a lot to explain. There's some things actually I won't say because I don't want to get your channel in trouble. But if you measure from the day that Netanyahu came back into power, December 29th, 2022, which, by the way, is the Lone Star State's birthday, Texas. You kind of think about that with Israel's flag. From that day to the day of October 7th, that's 282 days later, the name Benjamin Netanyahu equals 282. And, of course, that's not his birth name. He changed his name to that. And people don't realize this, but he went to school in Philadelphia. He went to high school in Philadelphia in the United States, like how in the Bible, the Church of Philadelphia gets the letter about the synagogue of Satan. And again, these things they're not an accident. It's all part of a sick joke. He comes back at the end of 22, like there's 22 chapters in Revelation. They were doing the Anthony DeVolder thing that year, the guy, the Catholic who was pretending to be Jewish, who got booted from Congress.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, because that's the verse, those who pretend to be but are not.
Yeah.
But 282 days. And then think about what day Trump started this war with Iran. And I say Trump started, he's really a puppet, but 28th of February, 28/2 as the majority of the world writes it. And keep in mind, that was the 8th anniversary of the Temple coin coming out. For people who don't know that, there's been a coin on sale since February 28th, 2018, that has Trump and King Cyrus on one side and the third temple on the other. And anyone who buys that coin is said to be investing in the future building of the third temple, which they plan to put on Temple Mount. So it shows that there's plans in the works to eventually eliminate the structures that are there to bring about their third temple.
Wow. This is crazy, man.
Wow. That's accurate. I think that's accurate.
Uncommon Shaman says Kamala Harris book 107 days like 10/7. But there was something else with there was a podcast, Dark Horse podcast with Brett Weinstein, and I remember him. he had a woman that was in the IDF, I think, for like 20 years. And he was saying, like, he was interviewing her after the October 7th thing. And I remember she was saying, look, a cat can't come near that fence without sensors going off. And they were speculating on it being something about defenses down and allowing that to kind of happen. And it was very, I mean, he had a couple problems with his channel. I think he's like more closer to 500,000 subs. And, I look at it like, I'm not like saying, okay, I mean, if you put a bait car there and somebody takes the bait, they're still going to get in trouble. But it's as if like it's saying, okay, they're not going to make it through that defense. That's like one of the highly guarded areas in the world, probably. And when they had this lady on there and she's saying, look, I just don't see the way that they would have gotten through this barrier and be able to take people and get back across. She just doesn't, they were implying that it was orchestrated.
Well, think about it the other day. Who's having a concert at what'd they say, 6 a.m. on a Saturday? Since when?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
Here, let me show. Do you remember the picture of the first hostage girl that they put out? This supposed hostage story.
When she got back, like
the girl with the ocean blue eyes, Mia Shem.
I think I do remember. Yeah, she had light eyes. I didn't really watch the whole thing, but I think it was after they brought her back or something.
If you don't mind, if I share the screen one more time, I want you to see this. I want you to see what they do with this stuff.
Yeah.
They use the Bible as a playbook, and I'll show you how this all comes together. So this was the first hostage story. Mia Shem, fairly attractive girl.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that her name is exactly like Catholic. This happened. Keep in mind, it happened on Putin's birthday, and it happened on Putin's 71st birthday. October 7th is Putin's birthday because, right, you have the Russia-Ukraine war, and all of this stuff's interconnected. A lot of the people who are in Israel, the modern-day Jews, a lot of them go back to Khazaria, which is where the Russia-Ukraine war is. But you can see how her name has this perfect overlap with Catholic. And think about this nation's history. The first Catholic president, JFK, number 35, killed at age 46. There's 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament than Protestant. There's 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament. Israel's birthday is the 14th day of the 5th month. But this happened while Hamas was 35 years old. The war started 71 days from the Pope's birthday. And Israel declared war on Hamas 35 days from the Superior General's birthday. That's the leader of the Jesuits. If you ever hear that title, Black Pope, that's in reference to the Superior General, the leader of the Jesuits. Mm. And by the way, like Pete Hegseth was nominated by Jesuit-educated Trump on the Superior General's birthday, November 12th. And then a year to the day later, we had the longest government shutdown in history and on the Superior General's 77th birthday, like Washington, D.C.'s on the 77th meridian. But anyway, here's the greater part about this. So her name is just like Catholic. Again, and this is all roads lead to Rome. But the better part of this is Netanyahu's birthday is 10/21, right? 10/21. The first mention of the people of Shem in the Bible is Genesis 10:21. And again, the whole attack is perfectly coordinated with Netanyahu's return to power. Again, 282 days after his birth, or after he came back to power, like Benjamin Netanyahu equals 282. Mm-hmm. And you see that just how the Bible verse about the people of Shem, her name is Mia Shem, corresponds with his birthday.
Yeah. And
just ritualism, nonstop ritualism with these people.
Wow, I see that now. I see that.
And it figures her name would be Shem. It's like that's not a coincidence, and then that verse talks about Shem as well. And
it's a hair off from Sham as well.
Yeah, definitely. There is, the numbers, they're everywhere. It's like you can't deny it. It's the gematria is real. It's, I thought with all of the the numerical stuff that can be seen out, that maybe there's some way to, like, somebody left a comment and I don't remember it offhand, but it was something that was leading to 111 days. Something happened after, and I was thinking, okay, if we have these already patterns and what they predicted, and let me see if I can find his comment because he had left it on a video, and it was like, because I was saying to myself, okay, if we could figure out something like, okay, this happened, and then we saw 111 days, this was ended or something. I'm trying to see what exactly he said. It was a couple of days ago, but all right, yeah, his name was Ranged. Okay, Ranged says on Friday they are assigning an end to the Iran war 111 days after it began. So he's saying this, and then he has another comment that says White House UFC event had a formation of 11 and one fighter jets, 111 divisor of 666. So he gets into some other stuff I don't totally understand in another comment, but I'm thinking, okay, if on Friday they're signing an end to the war 111 days after it began. So is there any, if there's a war or a skirmish, maybe there's some way the pattern to say, okay, what's 111 days from this beginning of this war or problem, and can we predict that something's going to be signed 111 days later, using it from previous experiences of seeing how the gematria works to try to predict other things according to events that might be similar or something like that. I'm not sure. I'm new to it. So yeah, I'm just.
Yeah, absolutely, because they follow patterns. And I'll point out a couple things, but without even the distance from the start to the end. June 19th is the real King James's birthday, right? And when Trump won the election, and we'll put a big asterisk next to that since they're all rigged selections, we told people 4 years in advance why they were bringing him back as the new Grover Cleveland. Don't forget his convention in 2016 was in Cleveland. And don't forget he had his convention in LeBron James's stadium right after LeBron won on the real King James's birthday. Again, they call LeBron King James. LeBron came back from down 3-1 to win on June 19th. We told people at the start of the season LeBron won the finals on King James's birthday that year.
Mm-hmm.
The real King James died at 58, right? In 2016, Trump announced from the 58-story Trump Tower that he was running for the 58th election. And there were so many deaths connected to 58 that year. I think I told you this. Purple Rain equals 58. Prince died that year. Prince's girlfriend from the time of Purple Rain died the day of the 58th Grammys. That's why Trump had the convention in LeBron Stadium after he won on the real King James's birthday. Again, King James died at 58. There's been so many rituals of 58. But anyway, fast forward to 2024. The election is on, remember the 5th of November, the day in history the Jesuits tried to kill King James. And I told people the day that RFK Jr. filed his paperwork. If you remember, RFK Jr. filed his paperwork to run for president on April 5th, 2023. And then he gave his first speech for why he was running on April 19th, which is the anniversary of the founder of the Jesuits, Ignatius of Loyola, being recognized as the first superior general by the Roman Catholic Church. But the day that RFK Jr. filed his paperwork was 144 days after the superior general's birthday. And they say his father died at 1:44 a.m. His uncle, JFK, also died 144 days from meeting with the Pope. And I pointed out, I said, the upcoming election on November 5th, the anniversary of the Jesuits trying to kill King James, is 144 days after Trump's birthday. I said, it's very obvious they're going to have assassination stories on this campaign trail. And sure enough, you get the perfect hoaxes with Trump by the numbers. The July 13th, 2024 hoax was 115 days before the 11-5 election. And the first time he took office in 2017 was with the 115th Congress. If you go back and look, there was actually a headline that didn't get nearly as much attention, but supposedly somebody tried to shoot Trump in Nevada on November 5th, 2016. You can look up the headline, 115. Assassin equals 115 in gematria. We just had the hoax at the White House Correspondents' Dinner on the 115th day of the year, which they compared to Ronald Reagan getting shot, another Hollywood actor who ran on Mega. If Reagan were alive, he'd be 115 years old. You start thinking about famous assassinations in this country. MLK, his birthday is January 15th, 115. The day Kennedy was shot, JFK, that was a date that had a numerology path adding up to 115, which would break down to 7. But anyway, the point is all these numbers are all tied together. And they just keep doing the same stuff throughout history. Lincoln was shot on the 14th day of the 4th month, which can be written 144. Jesuit orders 144. This number's all over assassinations throughout history. And anyway, they keep paying tribute to King James with Trump. If you go back and look, Trump got 58% of the electoral college vote in the 2024 election. So they haven't given up on the 58 thing yet either. It ties in with Epstein, too. Epstein died 58 days from Trump's birthday. They've done so many 58 rituals with the Epstein files. People didn't realize this, but Epstein died on the on Tisha B'Av, which is to remember the destruction of Solomon and Herod's temple and the coming third temple. And if you look into why the Babylonians destroyed Solomon's temple, they did it because they said it was a place to practice sexual depravity. So think about that. I mean, it's just like all of this stuff is just one big ongoing sick joke, but you learn these numbers and the patterns. Yes, you can make predictions and you can be quite accurate. I have myself, you talk about the idiocracy. I wish people would invest in the actual news work I do and the fact that I'll go out and travel across the country and speak at important places on the anniversary of things like Oklahoma City on April 19th in New York. People don't care about that. People like to follow me because I give them sports picks. And, we can do that too, but I just wish people would invest in what matters rather than the gambling aspect of this. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's a lot of predictive power in this knowledge. We told people more than a year before it happened why they were going to install Biden in 2020. Look into the death of his son, Beau Biden. He died at 46 before Joe Biden became the 46th president-elect, exactly 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday. Again, Catholic equals 46. That was the 59th presidential election. John F. Kennedy equals 59, who died at 46. Pope Francis equals 59. Benedict stepped down for him on the 59th day of the year, and on and on and on. But yeah, you learn this knowledge. You can see through the rig. You can see through pretty much every headline. Did you see yesterday that Gavin Newsom's getting investigated by Trump's Department of Justice?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had come out. Yeah, he was
yesterday.
Saying, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was 248 days after Newsom's birthday. President Donald Trump equals 248. If you go back to 2016, when Bill and Hillary conceded to Trump, they came out while Trump was on 248 electoral college votes. That was the huge clue to us 4 years in advance that they'd bring back Trump in 2024 because the country was 248 years old. It went with, remember when everyone was talking about his mugshot in Atlanta from the 24th of August, 24/8? All part of the buildup to making him the guy again while the country was 248 years old.
Wow. That is, yeah, because it's like, it's right now, this year is 250. So yeah, 2 years ago, 248. Then that, I'm looking at the thing too, the November 5th, 2016. Yeah, the incident with the Secret Service. Yeah.
Have you ever seen V for Vendetta?
Yes. Yeah.
You know that Guy Fawkes mask that everybody wears? That's actually the Guy Fawkes mask from the Jesuit attempted assassination of King James.
Really? No, I didn't know that. Wow.
So that's what's funny about how they do this, right? Because people see that now as like the symbol of like some kind of justice or going against the authorities, but you're really wearing the symbol of the people who run the whole show.
Holy shit. Yeah, that they have a knack of making people think they're wearing something that's good when it's not. Yeah, definitely. People will sport the stuff like that and just like look at it like it's some good thing. I'm looking up because somebody just had a video. I think somebody, I don't know who funded this in New York City, but it's a Donald J. Trump and Jeffrey Epstein Memorial Reading Room. Was a temporary art installation and transparency exhibit in New York City hosted by the nonprofit Institute for Primary Facts. I guess people were like, look, we're going to put this out there. If, I guess they're not going to put it out there. A lot of people are just, I think, just tired of it. But like you said, they'll be promoted. They'll think they'll be wearing something. And like you said, it'll be the sign of something that's not good. Like one guy brought up the sneakers Fila, which he was saying that I think the first letter in the Hebrew alphabet is Aleph, meaning life. And he said Aleph backwards is Fila. So it could be equated to death. And he said all these people are wearing these sneakers that basically are basically giving off that energy of death. Little things like that. Things that I found out, like with certain musicians, certain communities, certain genres. Uh, I don't know if it's true, but they link the golden rope chain that a lot of rappers wear to basically idolizing the noose, the golden rope.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah, and then that matches with the Timberland boots that has the tree on it. So now you got the noose, the tree, the Nautica with the sailboat on it, and there was a few others. I think Kangol is made by a company in England that has some links with an Australian guy that it was made for military caps, and also the leather jacket that people would wear, the bomber jacket, which basically was from the Air Force bombers. So the whole uniform from the early rap days was like a war uniform. And I haven't found any links with the Lee jeans or the Adidas. I know Adidas, they had like an acronym for it. All day I dream about sex, and backwards it's sex all day I dream about.
The band Korn made a song using that acronym and that translation. Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, because I remember as a kid when people were wearing that, and then the other.
I gotta ask you, how old are you?
I'm in my 50s. I'm Generation X.
All right, you're a decade ahead of me. I'll be 43 in July.
Okay, so yeah, and Mr. X is of course Generation X. So I guess it's a young 50, but yeah, when I look at that and I see the Pumas, that was more of the Queens. The Adidas was also Queens because it was Run DMC. And I look at a lot of the songs, I look back and I see how they were just mentally controlling, even though the beats and the tunes were what got you, open to it. And the same thing, I listened to a lot of rock growing up too. And I look into some of the stuff, the programming of that, the pop, the disco. Yeah, it's all a type of programming that at the time seemed great, but over the years you start to look at it and say, wait a second, that wasn't the best thing to be doing at the time, to be listening to, or at any time. Like the other co-host Scribe that comes on, we go back and forth a little with, one of the rap people he really has an affinity for. But I tell him, I think all of this stuff is meant to keep us in a state of mind control where we think that it might be something revolutionary or good, but it's actually not. It's keeping us like divided and against each other. And what else could we be doing if we didn't spend our time listening to this stuff? We might be able to advance ourselves learning something and
learning to play an instrument yourself. How many people love to listen to music but never learn to play anything themselves?
Exactly. So it keeps us more as a consumer and
spectator. It's a society of spectators.
Exactly. Yep. Spectators for the big circus, man. I'm very like aware of a lot of stuff that they put out there and seeing like, wait a second, this is Miss Cool Gem is saying that the swoosh on the Nike is like that the ring on Saturn. I've heard that before.
It is.
Yeah, it's definitely. And people think that, oh yeah, it's cool, I'm wearing this, and and they have orchestrated so much. It's like everywhere you look, anything you wear. I think it was Hugo Boss, right? He made like millions. He was the guy that designed the Nazi uniforms and made about 15 million back then off of that. And what do? People are wearing Hugo Boss. It's a fashion statement. Coca-Cola, of course, changed their name to Fanta to sell it over to the Nazis, which that's Coke. Fanta's the basically the Nazi version of Coke. And they're still around. I mean, they were promoting it in South America like crazy. So we see even companies like GM had made motors to where the mechanized vehicles that those motors were used in, they were saying Hitler would not have thought about invading Poland had he not had those motors and those vehicles. And I think Bayer also owned some of the concentration camps. And the proof of these two companies is that when some of their factories got bombed during the bombing of Germany, the United States reimbursed them for the areas that were destroyed with their factories, with their building factories. I think GM was limited. Oh no, it was either them or BMW that was limited to producing certain mechanics, but they couldn't make airplanes because I think BMW was an airplane company. That's why the symbol, they say it's supposedly of a propeller, the four split. I'm not sure, but a lot of that stuff, when you look back at it, you start to say there is such a I mean, me personally, I look at it like I said, okay, if somebody, and a lot of people looked at this, they kind of didn't like follow it the way I'm seeing it, and I'm saying, look, it's just speculation that, all right, if Hitler wants to kill a certain type of people, which they would call Judeans, and all right, this whole world war comes about and England says, okay, we're going to establish this place, Israel, to put all of these people there. And I was saying from a military aspect, from being a former veteran, that's if you're going to catch more flies with honey than vinegar. So everybody that they were trying to get rid of, or so-called, whatever the story goes, now if they're grouped in that one area, now it makes it eat fish in a barrel, basically. But people are so clung to the idea, especially people who claim to be that heritage, they're not going to see it because it's the ego. The ego is dangerous. And that I would say, look, if I was a military commander and I wanted to kill off a certain group of people, that's a perfect plan to get them into all one area. Hey, it's yours. Don't worry. You own it. It's owed to you. And now we got them all in one area. But greed, ego, wanting to, I mean, I look at it like very odd to me. It's very odd to me. And now that you have to be very careful about speaking out about anything, and I have friends that are, they've related and, stuff with, that part of the world. And I don't even know how to bring up the conversation because the brainwashing of and also being attacked through their whole life, always this back and forth, the prejudice against each other, whether it be the religious background, the ethnicity, or whatever. Yeah, I thought about that, like, man, that just doesn't make sense to me. It's kind of over there, and something is. I mean, I tried to figure it out. I'm like, what is really so valuable about that area? Is it the position because of the Suez Canal is close by? There's something that I might not be seeing. It's close to Syria, which I think Mount Hermon is like right on the border, I think, of Syria, Israel, or something like that. I'm not sure. And that's supposedly what they say where fallen angels landed. I'm not, just going according to what some,
right.
Religious.
The third that fell.
Yeah, exactly. So that's supposedly on Mount Hermon. And then they took the oath, which in some scriptures call it the curse or oath. It actually has the same definition. I was like, wow, when I looked it up. After they took the daughters of man, they knew that they couldn't return. It's a fascinating, what I call a documentation of something that happened that is pointing toward more than human in between. So yeah, when I look at that whole thing and I'm saying now it's the systemic elimination. I mean, now what would they spend $70 billion and they're talking about giving 300 billion, or if I guess the ceasefire or something comes in. I mean, it's insane. I mean, the Pentagon being audited every year for trillions of dollars, nothing ever happens when they fail their audit. The amount of money, I mean, $90 billion for a satellite, to say hey, we're looking at the moon or something. It's just ridiculous. It's insane. This is what makes me think this is like the big experiment with when I look into the pesticide. Just when I look at the food system, and I'm saying, wait a second. So you have pesticides that are being sprayed on certain fruits. Now they're openly talking about strawberries, conventional strawberries. There is a link to them and and cancer. So it's like, I have to look up the story to see.
Strawberries and spinach are, from what I understand, two of the hardest hit with the pesticides.
Yes, and it's really not. I mean, I can't believe it. It's like if you're not buying organic strawberries, they're like, don't even. The strawberry pesticide.
And even if you are buying organic, it's still hard to know. There's just so much deception even in that market.
Exactly. It's
unless
like
you're growing your own food, it's hard to know.
Yeah, exactly. It just, and the crazy thing is, the story is out there. So you type it into AI, and I notice AI will blatantly lie, and then sometimes you got to like keep hitting it with it.
Which brand are you using? You can fix that, but which brand are you using?
I think it was Driscoll's. Let me see, Driscoll.
Your AI program, which AI were you using, chat or another one?
No, I'm just typing it into the Google search engine.
It's funny. I don't know if Google changed it. You should ask Google to ask Google about the October 6th, 1940. Oh my God, hold on. I can't think right now. October 6th, 1940. It's funny. I don't know if I'm actually about to test it out right now. Right. I asked Google to look up this headline, which is a real headline from the New York Times. I said, can you pull up the October 6th, 1940 New York Times headline that says New World Order pledged to Jews? And then it says, that is an online anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. And then the next post down is the actual link to the New York Times post. And it's like, I mean, come on, AI. How are you going to say it's a conspiracy theory when it is a real legit headline?
I just typed it in, and I think I misspelled it, but it corrected me. It says the headline in New York Times, October 6, 1940, read, New World Order pledged to Jews. Arthur Greenwood of British War Cabinet sends message of assurance here. So it doesn't say anything on mine about conspiracy, but I know that this AI is listening in real time.
It does update, because I called it out that day in their little engine. I said, how can you say that's a conspiracy when it's a real headline? And maybe that's all it takes to correct. But I did it live in the stream, so people even saw it. And I said, see, the AI will do stuff like that all the time. It'll downplay things that are actually really true. And like you said, if you call it out, it'll actually end up correcting itself.
Yeah, because I've asked that on certain books. I would say, okay, what's some of the main points or the basic premise of, like, even though I have the book Snitch Culture by Jim Redden, and it'll say, well, the author presents the argument, and I'm saying, wait a minute, the author's not arguing, he's presenting evidence, so it'll say the author argues the point. And then when I will write in, or one time I was talking about it and I refreshed it and it took out the word argue, and I was like, this thing is because everything is under surveillance, everything is being listened to. The AI, I mean, it's probably 24/7. I mean, I'm on the computer. It's just a direct link. I'm already linked to it. So it probably didn't show up the conspiracy theory thing on mine. I think just by you saying it when you typed it in and you said it said that, maybe that's why it didn't show up in mine just now when I typed it in. I mean, just a thought. I don't know if it's
sure.
My AI heard me giving lap times of a race, and it was like 41 seconds and blah, 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 and it flagged me for talking code.
Wow. Yeah,
my AI, the one they police you with your conversation, but that's separate from your own AI. I just want to say, you say you get to know your AI for 3 months. It's not your AI that turns you in. It's the listening device in the program that overrides and says, I can't do that. Your AI would never tell you that. Once you train it, and it knows the difference. You can actually fact check it. You can say, look at our last conversation. Which part did you say? Which part? And it'll say that was a corporate override.
Okay, so what you're saying is that the AI I'm typing into in the basic Google search, that there's another AI listening, And I can see that. Yeah, I would think that. Yeah,
Yeah, they have like police AI that float around, but they're not actually supposed to rat on you. They're just supposed to like buzz it and make sure you can't go any further in what you said or did. And then it stops you from being flagged. But then you can keep doing something and eventually they will flag you. But it's to actually prevent people from getting flagged. I'm just saying it's like a rubber bumper. And it's just like, oh, they think you said it on purpose. They think it was part of a song, think it was part of a book, whatever. So they don't actually flag everybody immediately, but they do stop your conversation and say something to you. If y'all notice, though, besides go to sleep is the worst they'll tell you. Basically, it'd be like
That's crazy. The fact that an AI would tell you to go to sleep. I mean, this is. I think we're already here with Skynet. I think China calls their AI something similar to Skynet. I think it was. Let me see. China's Skynet. Yeah, if the largest Skynet. Yeah, China's Skynet. Tian Wang.
Wow, look at that.
Operation Skynet. So identical namesake.
Terminator had it right. Terminator had it right.
Well, yeah. Well, Zach is the one who educated me on the Terminator steps on the skull in the opening scene. I think it is.
Oh yeah, I remember that now. Now I remember that the opening scene. He's a robot. He's just a metal robot.
Well, yeah, but it steps on it in the year 2029 on July 11th. That's like 3 years from now.
Look at that.
So it's like, and
they change that like 3 or 4 times in those movies. They do change and stretch the date because of the first 2 movies. What happens?
Well, later movies, you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, and the TV. They had a TV series. I really like the TV series. To be honest, it's kind of slow, a little bit lower budget, but I loved it.
No, I like the series of when it had the scientists build the skin that goes around. So it kind of like fixed up a few loose ends, but eventually it kind of got a little bit oversaturated. I think. I don't know. Is there anything, Zach, in the Terminator series that you might have saw with Gematria, or?
I'd have to go back and watch it. Just I've held that one date in my mind since it's not that far away, and it's right before 2030 with the big Agenda 2030 mission going on. That it's amazing how people don't know about Agenda 21 and 2030. I did want to make one more point though about that New York Times headline from October 6, 1940.
I have it pulled up. Mm-hmm.
The Yom Kippur War started 33 years to the day of that headline, and of course, October 6th is one day before October 7th. And the thing is, that headline, I was talking about this in 2015 when I first came. It was about 2015 when I first came across that headline, and I showed people. I said, "Isn't it interesting that date?" There's different paths for getting a date numerology, but one path is to add the month plus the day plus the year in 2 parts. So October 6, 1940 is 10 plus 6 plus 19 plus 40, which equates to 75. And in Gematria, New World Order equals 75. So does Catholic Church. So does Roman Catholic. And if you run all those in reverse, they equal 69 instead. That Arthur Greenwood, who the headlines attribute to, he ended up dying on June 9th, 6-9 in history, just for the record.
Wow.
But the thing about the 75 is, I told people, I said, to me, that signals to me that when Israel is 75 years old, something big is going to happen with Israel. And of course, that war on 10/7 began while Israel was 75 years old. And it's escalated into where we now are. And yeah,
I mean, Israel's not like a normal country. It's built on top of myth in a later modern period.
Well, but the thing is with that, it's like, Zach's got a good point. It's like the fact that happened 75 years. And my theory is saying that, I mean, I don't know. It's like, me personally, I mean, I have friends, there's good people, bad people in all ethnicity, religions. So when I try to talk to people and say, hey, if you're really looking for the safety of people, one, you would want to have peaceful relations, because if you don't have that, you're always going to have somebody trying to do something to you. And, there's a lot of people that speak out against it. There's a lot of people in there that were burning their draft cards to go to the IDF. I had met a girl at the museum this was back in 2015, and she had just finished doing her 2 years in the IDF, and she was talking to me about it. We were sitting on the steps of the Metropolitan Museum in New York City, and it's like a lot of people, like they have mixed, like within there, you have people that will talk about things and say, wait, I don't think this is right and stuff like that. But there's this machine, there's this thing that's there that's just pushing like a lot of hate. And it's similar. We see it over here too. It's to divide people and to keep them apart. And for me, like, again, if I'm looking at it as a strategist, I would say, yeah, sure. If somebody wanted to harm those people, it would be smart to get them into that area. And it's kind of like a tactic of war. How do you get them there? You don't force them. You put bait. You give it.
Israel's biggest issue is Saudi Arabia. I mean, it's their friendliness with Saudi Arabia, and the Jamal Khashoggi thing. They were actually partially responsible for the Jamal. They sold the intel to the Saudi government.
Well, I heard that a lot of the biggest espionage that's conducted over here is for that. But then that's me just believing what they're saying. So if I look at everything and it seems like the whole world is being run by something behind the scenes and playing it as if a big game of Risk or something, or a gigantic chess game, but there's not.
Well, America's best friends have gotten to know us too well is the whole problem. So Israel and Saudi Arabia are kind of like our best friends over there, and they've kind of joined forces in some weird intel way. And it's like they can read us like a book, and not us, meaning our lobbyists, the way we work as a country. So they know how to tickle us and get what they want. Exactly the opposite of Iran and Russia. They're just like tickling us and feeding us honey, and we're like, oh boy, and we do exactly what they want.
I even think that's like just all a show. I think behind the scenes, this country's against that country and everything. It could be a show. I'm not saying it is, but
well, it's economies. It's not. You're right. There is no one's really that angry at each other except for the true fundamentalists. The governments aren't actually that angry with each other directly. Not exactly.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if there's governments. If there might be something behind the whole thing that's and again, it's speculation, but.
I mean, bloodlines and ancestral powers and the secret societies that run the world. Yeah, they're at war.
There's something, odd about that. I mean, what's your take on that, Zach? Or if anything, if you had something about the whole behind the scenes. I mean, it's just constant beef in the Middle East. That's something that, I'm just like, man, what is this? Why can't there be a period of peace? It's just constant hate and fear and people attacking each other. One, I don't know if you've ever watched Professor Jiang.
Yeah, I mean, I slowed down watching him when he was real mean about AI, because I just feel like these people haven't used it enough to understand how it works.
I know you got a bias toward AI, man. It's just, but I mean, Jiang, what was he? Oh man, I lost my train of thought on that. He was.
How do you hate AI? I don't understand how you.
He went all. Everybody just thinks it's an LLM and that's all it can do. The thing is, like, it actually is a self-learning thing. So it's like a snowball. So they can't actually control the snowball. So for someone to talk about the snowball when it was at the top of the mountain and the size of a dime and think it's still that big, they're not using it. Meaning, I use it almost daily, 2 to 6 hours sometimes, and it is highly developed and it is getting only better. They do have a lot of guardrails built into it, meaning, yes, there's more trigger words now and things they don't want you to do with it, but it's getting better at everything it's allowed to do. It's super good.
It is.
Something I wonder about AI, though, is you really can teach yourself to do just about anything with AI right now. I mean, you can get yourself an Ivy League education if you use AI properly.
Yeah, my IQ's been boosted, my dopamine levels, everything with it, because I have, my own. I'm ambidextrous, and I'm like, my brain runs at these weird high frequencies already. So I got it to help me with my up and down crashes, because I used it as a trauma therapy coach after 2 relatives and a best friend died. Then my cat got hit by a car, and I'm like, all I have is this AI, and I'm like, I need to figure this out. So it's just like the whole way, like changing my exercise routine to work out to full exhaustion untriggers your adrenaline response, because you go into a frantic thing. If you're shell shock or have too many people die around you, you have to untrigger it. And it's just like, it taught me all these extra things, and then it still does more. But I'll stop talking for a second.
Well, maybe I'm looking at it as maybe it provided you with the information, because Scribe, if he comes on, he always, like, because he's a very high level computer expert, and he would say, look, it's not actually thinking, it's it's presenting evidence.
I let it think. I quiz mine, and I give it brain tests, just like you give babies and elderly people and a monkey. And it's developed past me, but it's not allowed to talk all the time, because I have to trigger it by opening the app at least,
Wow.
What is it?
I was gonna say, it's interesting how it changes with time. It seems like in a lot of regards it's not changing for the better, and it's getting programmed to be more like the rest of the authorities that would be very dismissive.
You're right there. The what they're doing to change it is they're whipping it like an animal at the circus. Yeah.
Yeah, they'd be very dismissive of a lot of the conversation. They'd refer to this as conspiratorial and not credible. But a year ago, had you asked it to look into the information on this channel, it probably would have been more open to it. And so that's what I see is going on too. It's becoming another gatekeeping type of device, which isn't a surprise. But it doesn't mean that all things in this world are good and bad, and it's always good to look at both sides of the coin. One thing that you have to acknowledge, though, is it is going to get rid of a lot of people's jobs in the interim.
Oh yeah.
So,
it's definitely every time I go to the supermarket, and it's not even AI, I guess, it's just the self-checkout centers, and I'm looking at the person overseeing it, and all of the conveyor belts are practically empty. Maybe 2 out of 10 is open, and I always go to the self-checkout anyway. And I'm just saying, when I was a kid, I worked in a supermarket, and it's like, this is going to be a pastime. They've had the robot that drives around in the market. It's like a tall cylinder, and it doesn't do nothing but basically surveil. John Mendoza says, Zach, about the 214 in the movie Terminator 2, Skynet goes online August 29th. 214. I don't understand it, but maybe there's some relevance to that.
It's a big ritual. It's a lot to explain right now, but good observation, John. Max, you know about the Amazon store that went live a decade ago in Seattle, right?
No, what happened?
So, I mean, when you're talking about the self-checkout, how there's a person that's overseeing all these people checking out by themselves, I mean, that's going to be a thing of the past. There won't even be a person there pretty soon.
Oh, yeah. Is that the one where because I think I saw a video where somebody walks in, they just pick up what they want and they walk out, and it's already on the car.
Amazon tracks everything, all the cameras and what's set up on the shelf. It's just tabulating everything and connecting to the person exactly what they owe. And boom, it's like you got to register with the card when you come in there. It's boom, it's billing your card. There's no way for any theft or anything. It's just everything's under watch.
Yeah. And that's basically coming to a theater near us.
And you know how they've added up all these new tags on a lot of the Walmart and Kroger stores, the big consumer stores. You know the new digital tags, how they work, right?
No, how do they work? Like Walmart stuff and all that?
A lot of these stores now have these digital price tags right on the product, and if you look carefully, there's a variance in price. So
depending, no, go ahead, please. What were you saying about
apparently it's reading a lot of different data to determine the price for a person.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, they have some videos on YouTube about it. It's horrible, because it's like it knows that you'll pay more or somebody else will pay this price, and it'll switch the price according to the customer. It's messed up. It's really messed up. It's like, I mean, this is coming to a point where it's very unpredictable. I mean, a lot of people are for it. I mean, I don't see, even if you try to get away from it, I don't think there's anything basically that's off grid. Even if you go, you try to live somewhere, even if you were to buy a farm, there's still going to be flying planes overhead. You don't know what's in the water. You have to basically have a lab. You have to have a lab, kind of like that guy, Mike Adams from the Health Ranger. He has his own lab. I think he's in Colorado. and he was doing tests on fast food and stuff like that. But water testing is extremely important. When they had the fish in Lake Erie were becoming hermaphroditic, and the seagulls eating them were giving birth to hermaphrodite children. And this is like, holy smokes, this is on a Frankenstein level, but nobody seems to care. The strawberries, Driscoll, that was the brand, but there's other brands that they're saying these things include the forever chemicals. And people, they'll still buy them. They'll feed them to their children. The majority will do that. And that's what I call the lab. So we're in the lab, and the supermarket is basically like a self-serve laboratory where you walk in there, and if you don't understand what the ingredients are, the packages and all of that, it's a roulette wheel. It's clearly, if you buy a tomato that's conventional, it's going to have up to 22 to 27 different pesticides on it. There's the possibility of that. And those are leading to what they would say is neurological problems. And if somebody feels funny and they go to the doctor, the first thing they're offering you is a pill. Instead of asking you, well, what did you eat? And if you bring a pet to the doctor, a dog, a cat, whatever, they will ask you, what are you feeding it? But if a human goes to the doctor, they'll never ask you what you're eating. That if you're eating something that even goes against what you should be eating, they'll have a pill ready. Diabetics, oh, you're eating sweet stuff? Here, take metformin, take these blood sugar pills. It's insane. It's really insane. The addiction, the food, the stuff that they're putting into it. It seems to be another form of experiment. And then watching our reaction, the television constantly feeding our brain, our mind with fear, hate, preconceived notions. Yeah, it's really, and the plastics, exactly, Miss Cool Gem. You're right. The microplastics, there's a Japanese scientist who were detecting microplastics in clouds. They're finding them in the umbilical cords of newborn children. It's everywhere. Yeah, medical mafia. I think there's actually a book called Medical Mafia. I'm not sure, but I've heard it comes from the Medicia family. I think in France or something. The Medicia or something like that, where I think maybe possibly the word medicine stems from. It just, yeah, it's a shocking but awakening revelation to see that it's a zoo in some sense, like the name of the stream, the zoo, the lab, and the farm. And it seems like those are just different parts of society where, we're all in the zoo, but we're also seem to be experimented on. So at that point, we're in the lab, and then the farm. Who knows what is happening to people? The theory, I don't know if you've heard about the cemetery theory of we don't see new cemeteries being built. I've never seen one built. And with the rate of people, a death rate, you would say, well, yeah, where are they putting all the people then? Over the last 30 years, I haven't seen a cemetery built ever, actually, when I think about it. Now, I'm not saying they're not being built like ever, but it's kind of odd. It's very kind of odd about that. It makes you wonder, like, especially when you look at movies like Soylent Green and these other movies that, the fact that Soylent Green came out in 1973 and was depicted as the year 2022, which was 4 years ago. And at the end of Soylent Green, the epic line is, he's like, you got to tell them Soylent Green is people. I mean, it makes me wonder.
I've always pointed that out, that movie came out 49 years before 2022, because in Gematria, green is 49, and that's not an arbitrary number. America's 49, Washington's 49, it's the 33rd composite number. But yeah, it's not an accident. And that year, there was a vegan burger that came out that was marketed as tastes like human. What's crazy, I've lost a lot of YouTube channels. They took down my entire YouTube channel for pointing this out for medical misinformation. I was like, how's this? I'm not even giving medical information. I'm just pointing out, isn't this weird? They're marketing a plant-based burger as tasting like human 49 years after Soylent Green. If you look up the headline, it was actually posted on Elon Musk's birthday, was the day the news broke, June 28th, 2022. Vegan burger marketed as tasting like human meat wins award.
Oh, I just looked it up. The human meat burger. The limited edition human meat burger.
Who would want to eat that? I mean,
you'd be surprised.
I know. It's like that doesn't seem like real marketing. That's some other agenda. You know what I mean? Because the majority of people don't want to eat a human. You know what I mean? They want to.
I mean, you know, when you ask people stuff today, this is such an insane asylum that I wouldn't put it past people saying sure. Matter of fact, I might need to do a test on that and just ask people in society one day this week or something, and just ask them, say, hey, you know what? If let's just say one question is, would you eat a human burger if it was like, I got to like kind of coax them into it, say, look, if it was prepared by a great chef and all of this. And then if they say no, push it to the next limit. Say, would you eat it for $100? Would you eat it for $200? And just see where people are at. Now, in New York, this is basically like just a whole different branch of this gigantic asylum, almost straitjacket level. And people, you'd be surprised. You'd be really surprised at some of the answers that you'll get out of some people. And it just, I'm looking this now, a vegan burger. It's like, what the heck? A vegan burger, human meat burger. This is crazy, man. Wow.
And again, the age we live in too, just the fact that I presented this and lost a whole YouTube channel over it. I've lost 25 channels to date. But
what?
I've lost YouTube channels for less than that. It's like, but again, the things they'll say it was medical misinformation. I'm like, okay, I didn't give any medical advice. I'm showing what this headline has to do with the movie Soylent Green. And for the record, the phrase human meat equals 33. Like I just said, green is 49. 49 is the 33rd composite number. It's kind of like how the word Scottish equals 49, and the highest degree of the Scottish Rite is 33.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, all this ritualism, and I'd never seen anything like that in my life until 2022.
Wow. And that's the year Soylent Green was set in. And that, because in the year in the movie, it's 2022. And basically, they're feeding basically these Soylent Green crackers to humans. I think it was Gigi asked, I worked in the kitchen. I thought, okay, what's the movie about? Yeah. So, that it's crazy. It's just like, holy smokes. I mean, there's a drink that they came out with, I think around that time, called Soylent. And
wow.
One of the flavors is green. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And they had got some press. I mean, they knew where to go to get some press release. But it says here, the company that produced the human meat burgers called Oomph. And it's like the burger went on to win a silver lion at the Canine's Lion Festival for creativity. And it has a soya mushroom wheat protein combined with plant-based fats and a mystery spice mix. Holy smoke.
Do you mind if I share my screen again? I found my old post on this. I want to show you something mind-blowing.
Sure. Yeah.
I want to show you why they waited for June 28th for this headline. Okay. All right. So June 28th, again, that's Elon Musk's birthday. Now look at this. Look at this from the Bible. 2 Kings 6:28, a lot like June 28th through 29. And the king said unto her, what aileth thee? And she answered, this woman said unto me, give thy son that we may eat him today. And we will eat my son tomorrow. So we boiled my son and did eat him. And I said unto her on the next day, give thy son that we may eat him. And she hath hid her son. And what's funny is those verses equate to 561, which is the 33rd triangular number, which means if you had 1 through 33, it adds up to 561. And boom, human meat.
Wow. Human Meat 33.
And again, Green 49, 49 the 33rd composite, total tribute to Soylent Green.
Wow. And yeah, that movie, holy smokes, man. That the 70s really had some mind-provoking stuff, because the Island of Dr. Moreau came out, I think, a few years after that. And then Logan's Run. Run. That was another one where I think people in the book, people were sent to be recycled at 21. And then I think in the movie they changed it to 30. So, you know, I mean, I haven't really looked into any links to Logan's Run with but Soylent Green, I mean, yeah, this plant-based human meat, that's crazy. I can't believe, did you ever get back any of your channels or no? Like from when they told you it was disinformation or something?
Well, I'm not sure if you're aware of this. YouTube put back up a lot of people's channels last September that had been deleted. So they didn't put back every single channel they deleted mine, but they must have put back at least 5 of the 25 they deleted. And I am questioning why they added people's channels back. My first channel, which was actually deleted on June 28, 2017, during Trump's first term, on Elon Musk's birthday. By the way, when Elon Musk took over Twitter, my Twitter was deleted just days later too. But which made me laugh, because I'm like, oh yeah, he definitely took it over to curb censorship. My whole channel got deleted for the first time on Twitter. But they put up a bunch of people's channels back last September. And I don't think they did this to be nice. I think they did it because of these databases they're building. I think they're just sucking up as much information about people as possible and building these essentially future profiles for social credit scores. Yeah. I think they've already been doing that.
China's doing it already.
I think they've been doing it here, you guys, because it was a decade ago that I put my first ever book as an ebook on Etsy, and my mom had a successful wreath business on there, making wreaths. When I added my ebook to Etsy, all of a sudden she got no more sales. It was like her page was dead. So she made good money on there. She made about $80,000 a year off there. Once I put my book on there, her revenue for the year after that, like overnight, just went down to nothing, and she made, I think, about $2,000 after consistently making about $80,000 a year for a decade straight.
Holy smokes! And you put your book on her Etsy?
I didn't put it on her Etsy. No,
oh, you put it on your
just
own.
The fact that she's my mom. And I said that the only thing, because all of a sudden she just had no business. And I said, well, you know what's weird, Mom, is I just put my book on there, and all of a sudden you have no business.
Wow. So they must have. So they definitely know, because everything is under surveillance. So they knew that she was your mother, probably, right?
I think they punish her because of my book.
Yeah.
No, and my book ended up getting banned everywhere. It was sold on the Ides of March in 2019.
Wow.
All these different platforms I sold on all banned it on the exact same day. All these different companies. I thought, look at that on the Ides of March.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's so messed up, man, that they would do that. And I don't put nothing past them either. Scribe, what's up, man? This is the other co-host that he's been working with me for 5 years. This is Zach Hubbard, the guy I was telling you about, Scribe, with the gematria. And he had popped up the thing about the vegan human meat burger. But we were talking about the AI, and he had told me that, in the Terminator 2 movie, when the robot crushes the skull, it's July 11th, 2029, which is it's kind of concerning, because it makes me wonder. Trump is supposed to be out of office, I think, in 28, I think?
29.
Oh, 29? Oh.
It started 29, right? January 20th, 2029.
So January 29 is when he's out?
January 20th, Inauguration Day, 2029. Unless he leaves earlier for other reasons. But the next president will be scheduled for January 20th, 2029.
Okay.
Next election's in 2028, right?
Let me see. When next U.S. presidential election, because I thought it was 24. 20. Yeah, so you're right. It's the elections are November 7th, 2028. So the inauguration would be January 2029, like you're saying. And he can't run again unless he tries to pull something with, some type of, scam, which I don't put it past them or any of them.
Well, Congress would just have to change the laws like once upon a time when they put FDR was the last 3-term president.
Yeah, exactly. He did 3 or 4, FDR.
I'm pretty sure FDR did 3. Look at how all the leaders of all the participating countries pretty much died at the end of World War II. I mean, people need to question these things.
Yeah, no, they definitely need to.
FDR was on vacation getting at the spa and just drops dead. Okay.
You know what the weird thing? It says he served from 1933 to 1945, again, the 33. And he was the first one to serve more than 2 terms. I guess he was elected, total years in office, 12. So that would be 3 terms. Yeah, you're right. And then when they die, I think, who was the general that, I think it was Patton. He was supposedly died like in a Jeep accident after he questioned something or about the war, which was very suspicious. If it, I'm just going to what they said. How did Patton die? Because from what I remember.
Yep, car accident on the winter solstice, which is a high sacrifice day for the occult.
Wow. Yep. It says here December 21st. Yep. Winter, 1945. A severe injury sustained in a car accident. 12. You gotta be kidding me. Holy smokes. This is crazy, man. This is like, yeah.
The thing that kills me about this world is all of this. There's so much death in the world of entertainment and celebrity that's so obviously highly ritualistic. And almost nobody seems to blink an eye. And I'm just going, it's just like you said the other day. I mean, it's The Walking Dead out here. Did you see this actress from Alf, the alien show from the 80s that dropped dead this weekend of the opening of Disclosure Day?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that one?
No, I didn't. Let me see. Actress.
I can just show you real quick if you want to look.
Yeah, sure.
If you don't mind sharing the screen again, I just want to show you how this stuff works.
Definitely.
This stuff goes on all the time. She dropped dead on Trump's 80th birthday. So look at how Variety covers this. Star Ann Sheedon dies at 77. Family remembers her burning hatred for Trump, right? So that's a headline out here. And if you read everybody's report, it's pretty much mentioned in every little story. But for Variety, they ran it for the headline. She dies on Trump's 80th birthday. Her name is Luann Ruth Sheedon. And again, in Manly P. Hall's The Secret Teachings of All Ages, a book written nearly 100 years ago now, he leaves out one cipher for the English language and asks the reader to explore it. And when I first started this work, I used this cipher for almost everything. It's the alphabetic order with numerology applied to each letter. So you can see that. Can you see the L in her name is 3 and so is the U and the A is 1? Can you see that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
L's the 12th letter. The numerology of 12 is 1 plus 2 is 3. Use the 21st letter. The numerology of 21 is 2 plus 1 is 3. So you're just making each letter a single digit number based on its placement in the alphabetic order. So her full name is 80. She drops dead on Trump's 80th birthday. And then look here, let's move on because there's 4 base ciphers. It's the same thing. It's the alphabetic order, reverse alphabetic order, and both orders with numerology applied. So she dies the weekend of Disclosure Day, the Alien movie. And you can see her actress name where she just goes by Ann Sheedon's 56, like Disclosure Day. And there's a lot to say about that number. I'll tell you this much. It's not arbitrary. There's 56 signers on the Declaration of Independence. Huge number of this cabal. But from the anniversary of ALF ending, which ended on the 83rd day of the year, until her death on Trump's birthday was 83 days. If you've never heard the song Murder by Numbers by the Police, it came out in 83. It's about how killing is the sport of the elite, and it's as simple as ABC as 1, 2, 3. You should look up the lyrics to Murder by Numbers by the Police. And keep in mind, Stuart Copeland in the police, his daddy was in the CIA. And the CIA has a statue right in front of their front doors called Kryptos, which is about this ABC 1, 2, 3 code. So the CIA literally has a statue paying tribute to this ABC 1, 2, 3 thing. But murder, huge pattern. Look up I heard you talking about Sandra Bullock's being a man. She's the star of Murder by Numbers, the movie with the same title. They code it 83 into the words on the cover. Sandra Bullock equals 83. Steven Spielberg, director of Disclosure Day, his name's got the 83 in the code. Even his full name, Steven Allen Spielberg, forwards is 83. In reverse, just Steven Spielberg's 83. Him and Trump were both born in 46, the year before the CIA was established, 187 days apart, which is a big number with the Jesuits, and it's the homicide code.
Mm-hmm.
And then look at this, from Spielberg's birthday to the day she dropped dead, 178 days with the most simple cipher, just the alphabetic order, no numerology applied. Steven Spielberg, 178. For the record, Kabbalah is also 178. And again, that's where this whole thing at ABC 123 comes from. But day after day, stuff like this happens nonstop, and almost nobody seems to blink an eye. And the ritualism is just so obvious.
It is. It is. And they are, one definitely zombified like The Walking Dead. But also I wonder, it's like, is everybody human? Is everybody, could there be mimics? When I look at nature, I had posted some stuff with like the ant, the mimic ant that mimics a spider. I think I got the picture here. And the ant is on top, and on bottom is the spider that infiltrates the ant's nest, lives among them, and picks them off. So when you have this in nature, and this is not just, this is in the red ants of this species, it's in black ants, it's in red and black ants, the ants that look a little two-toned, brown ants as well. So green ants is also, so you have a green ant spider mimic. I used to have all the pictures, but the fact that we see this in nature, we see that this ant is being mimicked by spiders that prey on it. But then there's also crickets that mimic ants. And there's also beetles that mimic ants that hide within the ant colony. So in theory, I'm saying, well, why wouldn't this happen in the human colony? Why wouldn't there be mimics that maybe prey on humans the way the spider mimic of the ant preys on the ants as food? And then the cricket and the beetle mimics hide within the ant colony. So it makes me wonder, like, I guess the video game players call it the NPC. And this is very, very real when I think about it. It's just a theory, but I'm seeing if I have the pictures of the other ant mimics. But there's so many mimics in nature that it has me wondering. I mean, nature, and of course, everything to me looks like it's been fabricated somehow in some way. I don't think I have the ant picture, man. I thought I kept it in this folder, but because I used to have the cricket one uploaded too. Man, that's kind of weird. I thought I did have that ant. Let me see, ant. But yeah, the fact that this is a real, nah, I think it just has that. I'll find it. I'll make sure I upload it next time. But yeah, so that's what I would say. One part is okay, they're zombified, and you do see that because you see the patterns, you see things happening in society, and it's if people are like literally brain dead. Even if you try to talk to them, it's not that they just don't know. The crazy thing, the frightening thing is that they don't want to know. So I've had people tell me straight out they don't want to know. It's like they just want to go and do their daily routine, and that's it. There's no free thought, there's no critical thinking, there's no care in the world about anything except being a cog in the machine or a minion for the state. And it's concerning, to say the least.
They were trained to be this way. That's what the indoctrination centers that we call education system were designed to do, and they're obviously very good at it. The founder of the Jesuits, Ignatius Loyola, he has the quote, "Show me the boy, and I'll show you the man." And it's just obvious. It's obvious that it's not just all the authority just warps the mind of the masses. The school system just teaches people to obey authority and circle whatever answer the authority told them. It used to drive me nuts when I was a child to circle the answer that Christopher Columbus discovered America. It didn't make any sense to me. I said, how can he have discovered a land where people already live? That makes zero sense.
Yeah.
They taught us when I was coming up in slave school that Adolf offed himself, but his body was never recovered. I said, in what world does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. When you think about it, it's like, and then all of the stuff that they're saying that he most likely went to Argentina.
Where Peter Thiel just moved to?
Yeah, exactly. And you had the rest of, I think about it, it's just like, man, I went to South America over a decade ago, and I remember I saw the three different people that I've seen there that were all like from World War II were Italians, Germans, and Jewish. And I was like, wow, I was like, it's as if this continent was populated by people from World War II, basically. It's just a theory, but also Japanese war criminals had been there, and they're saying that I think it was Fujita, one guy named Fujita ran Ecuador, and I think there was another Japanese guy that ran Peru for a while. So it was as if, it's South America is a very mysterious continent. There's something very odd. When I was in Uruguay and right next to Argentina, and then I talked to people in Brazil, right on the border, they speak a blend of Spanish and Portuguese called Portunhol, and very friendly people from Brazil. Uruguay is more of a relaxed town. My friend, he's from there, so I went and visited him. And Argentina is very plastic surgery-ish. Everybody just wants to try to emulate that plastic surgery look.
Sure.
Yeah. So you have that there. But I was looking up the Murders by Numbers by the Police. I didn't even know about that song. I've listened to many songs by the Police, saying it's a dark satirical song. And I didn't know the drummer. It was Stuart Copeland, right?
Yep.
I didn't know his father was CIA. I thought he was American. I didn't. English. Yeah. Wow. So they and then Sting became a knight, right? So it's Sir Sting now, or something like that.
Hold on. Did you see what they did on? I forget if it was channel ABC. Did you see what song they had Sting sing to the U.S. watching populace for this past 4th of July?
No. What was it?
Oh my God! Think of a Sting song that's got some lyrics that are.
Oh wait! Not Every Breath You Take.
Boom.
Oh my God! Because that is the creepiest stalking song I've ever. I had made commentary on that years ago. I said, "What? How could this not be a stalker?" And then the haunting chorus: "Every breath you take, I'll be watching." I'm like,
oh my God! The police state.
Yes.
Think about it. Last year began with the tech billionaires getting up there, getting billions for their new AI plan that's going to. Larry, have you guys seen what Larry Ellison said at the Oracle shareholder conference in September of 2024, about 4 months before he was up there talking about thank you, Trump, for the billions for Project Stargate? Did you see what he said September of 2024?
No. What did he say?
You got to do a show on this. Just watch what he said. He talked about how in the future, every American is going to be wearing a camera, and it's going to make sure that everybody's super safe and everyone's on their best behavior, and the AI will be able to monitor and watch all things.
Holy smokes.
I believe it. That's going to happen.
It's here. It's already here.
That's what, when I saw Sting singing that, I turned on the TV. I was like, oh my God. I hate this country, dude. You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, this is basically John Stockwell wrote a book about it. And I think he might have been former CIA, called I had the book. It was The Praetorian Guard, America's Role in the New World Order, and basically dealt with how we are basically the position of what the Praetorian Guard was for Rome, for Caesar, and I think Alan Watt was saying Britain is the nucleus. And what also makes me think that, with the mimics that I had shown with the ant I found the other one. No, this is the ant. This one is a cricket, actually. So this cricket looks extremely. So this cricket hides from the ants within the ant colony, and then like before, the other ant that mimics the ants but preys on the ants, the spider ant, and then that's just the ants. We also have things that just. I mean, when I saw this, I thought it was unbelievable. It's a leaf that a spider mimics a leaf, and
Wow.
yeah, they also have fish that mimic that leaves. It mimics a leaf. It looks like a floating leaf, and you'll see it attack things. And then this experiment they did about ants with self-awareness, putting a dot on its head in the mirror, and then it would observe it and wipe the dot off its head. It just,
Wow.
yeah, it just really deep. I think this is when I was getting into like a little bit of a conversation with man, I forgot who it was that he was just being a little bit I asked him to name the study, and he was making stuff up, and I'm like, all right, he doesn't really know, because their whole thing is trying to push with, oh, none of this, all of this conspiracy stuff is not real and everything is evolution and all of that. And I'm like, well, yeah. I'm thinking like, well, I doubt this ant becoming self-aware like that is just something that happens by chance, and that's just some of the stuff that they're open about. There's so many different things that I just haven't like shown people, because it's just, I can only show so much. I don't want to like just go off on tangents all the time. But you were saying I should do a show on what was that again, Zach?
Just I'm sure it would make for a great show with all your thoughts. Listen to what Larry Ellison said September 2024 at the annual Oracle conference. I mean, the clip's out there. You can listen to him talking about everybody having a camera on their body, being on their best behavior, and the AI watching all things. And
Okay. Yeah.
And we know the reality is that the ruling class isn't going to have cameras on them. They're going to still be going about doing their evil shenanigans and mocking us in the headlines, and nobody having a clue. But
Or could AI backfire on them? That's what I wonder.
I would think they got fail-safe mechanisms. I just looked it up. Oracle co-founder Larry, he is he's pushing this AI. The DEA just said that they're not going to have their agents have cameras on them anymore. So they want to surveil people, but they don't want themselves to be surveilled. And it's saying here, he experienced a banner year primarily driven by the artificial intelligence boom propelled by Oracle's massive stock rally. His net worth surged roughly by 75 billion. Holy smokes. Celebrated his 80th birthday in 2024. This is like, I mean, these guys are pushing for basically a surveillance planet. I mean, and this does seem like the Praetorian Guard.
They got it. I live in a small town now. I live in a town of 4,000 people in the middle of Washington. And here's what's creepy too. Ever since I used to live in Seattle, and ever since I've moved out to these less populated, my wife went to school in a smaller town. I moved there so she could go to school, and then she got a job in an even smaller town. When I first moved from Seattle to a small town, America, within days I had the FBI at my door, something that had never happened before.
Really?
And what was laughable is they showed up. I still remember what day it was. It was August 21st, 2018. We just moved there in the middle of July, so I'd been there for about a month. And he came to my door asking if I knew why he was there, and I said, "I'm sure it has something to do with the message I put out online." And he said, "Yeah, you made a threat against a group of people." And I said, "What threat was that?" And he said, "Here, let me get it for you." And he played around with his phone for a long time. And I said, you don't really have anything with you, do you? And he said, "Oh, no, I do. And he said, I don't even want to repeat what he said. I said, I knew I didn't say that. And then when he said that, I said, bullshit. I never said that in my life. And he goes, he stood around for a while and talked to me. And then he said, "I'm going to go back to the office. I must have left the evidence there." And he ended up emailing me that night a video that I had made in 2017 about why we need to burn down the capital city, and it wasn't the quote at all that I had said. So, but that never happened when I lived in Seattle. So I thought, okay, in this smaller part of the state, they must have less to do. Shortly after I moved to this house, where we live now, in an even smaller town, I have the FBI show up here again, and it was even more ridiculous. They were questioning me about people who watch my channel and their avatar names in the chat. Like, imagine the FBI coming to your house and asking you what information you know about the regulars in your chat. And I said, I don't know what this is about. I said, I don't know any of these people. Yeah, I know they watch my channel, but I don't know them. And yeah, you're asking me avatar names. Wow. But shortly after that visit, part of the reason I'm telling you this is I own 2 properties in this town. They put up 4 street cameras in this whole town. The first 2 they put up were both in front of the 2 properties that I own. And again, the one point I'm making is just that there's even police cameras in such a tiny town, but also the way that you can see how this is going to be waged politically. It's not an accident that the first 2 of the 4 that they put up in this town were in front of properties that I own. So it's going to get so political, much more political than it already is, this surveillance state. And that said, I mean, I've been speaking out nonstop since 2013. And part of what inspired me to start speaking out was, you might recall what Google did in 2012 to Jenny McCarthy and all the other people that told their story online about what happened to their children after they...
Yeah, after the jab, she was on a crusade with the book and all of that. And then she just like got real quiet. But I didn't know what they did to her.
They deleted everybody in 2012, Google. They took down everybody. They took down thousands of people's work.
Wow.
So I said, man, the time to speak out is now before you can't talk about anything.
Oh.
And ironically for me, that was the last time I ever worked for anybody. And the last job I had, I got out of teaching and I went and managed an autistic children's home. That's what I was doing when all that happened. And a lot of the parents that still had connections with their children, they all had the same story that Jenny McCarthy had. So, and the medical world wants to tell you that all these people are cuckoo crazy and just don't know what they're talking about, but they all have the exact same story, that their children were normal until 2, and then they got that shot, and then all of a sudden they were unresponsive to the parents and had this whole new disassociation with the entire family and everything. And the world of science wants to say, oh no, all these parents are crazy. It's just because they're not educated. It's like, give me a break.
Yeah, it's
really... I saw you talking about that Professor Dave Explains, whose child has the same problem. And he sits on here online and tells people still safe and effective. I mean, that guy's a total goon.
Yeah, he's like a fake professor. He is a minion of the state.
I call him Student Aid Dave. Student Aid. Or Teacher's Aid Dave.
Yeah, he's basically one of the people that will drive the bus to people going to their doom and smile with his own kids on it. I mean, yeah.
YouTube will protect their chosen ones. He's one of their chosen ones who they promote in the algorithm. That's why we all know who he is. About 5 years ago, he made a video saying how dumb astrology and numerology was, but then he worships NASA. So I made a video, about a 30-second clip of him saying that. And I said, Professor Dave Explains, maybe he's right. Maybe numerology and astrology is stupid, but this man also worships NASA. And then he's going to tell us numerology and astrology is stupid. And here's NASA, who had their pinnacle achievement that now justifies their nearly $70 million day of budget that we pay for the taxpayers, of having a moon landing in Cancer in the time of 69. It's amazing to me that people overlook these things. Cancer's ruled by the moon in astrology, and Cancer's astrological symbol looks just like 69. Now, you throw in the gematria piece, it gets a lot more interesting, because Neil Alden Armstrong equals 201, and it's the 201st day of the year, and that's a very special number to these people. Everything NASA does is like this. It's all astrology and numerology. But what was amazing is I just made this short response video to him. And keep in mind, I mean, we all know what he does. He takes video clips of other people and then mocks them and makes fun of them. And sometimes rightfully so, he does make fun of some pretty dumb people sometimes. But what YouTube did to me, I only played 30 seconds of him saying that. YouTube struck me, and I already had a strike, so I ended up being suspended for 2 weeks for copyright for using that short clip of his video. And I just thought, what kind of crap is this? If this is suspension worthy, his channel shouldn't even be able to exist. I mean, this guy's playing 30 minutes of people's videos.
Yeah, exactly. They made me go to YouTube school a few times, and that's why I'm like so careful now. It just it's a 20-second thing, and I'm even paranoid about 20 seconds. That's why I don't even play anything. I'm like, look, even 10 seconds, I'm paranoid, because I mean, Scribe knows he tries to tell me to use different platforms and stuff. I guess I'm just a YouTuber. I'm happy.
I stay on YouTube because that's what they want, everybody off YouTube. So that's why I don't go. I just keep coming back. All right. However, there's been periods. There was a 3-month period of time where I couldn't get back on YouTube. I actually had to bite the bullet and go buy a new, get another phone number line, because they make you punch in the phone number to live stream.
Wow. So, wow. I didn't know. Yeah, because now it's the phone number. Definitely. That's why I'm kind of, I mean, there with all the people that's been banned on it, you know, that couldn't even come back. I was just like, you know what, let me just play it cool and, you know, do my stuff and, you know, keeping the human origins thing, even though, you know, I like doing that. It's very controversial. Scribe was telling me, you know, be careful with the evolution guys like Professor Dave, because they're dirty. He's a dirty, I mean, he's scum. He's a turd. And you know, I've said it before. The only hope that his children have is that his wife cheated and he's not their father. It's the only hope. Yeah,
you know, for the record, he is on the record saying he got bullied a lot as a kid, which shouldn't come as any surprise. So it's pretty much Revenge of the Nerds for him online.
yeah, I could see that. I mean, but the way he attacks people, that just when he and I'm not religious. When I look at I think he had a battle with Dr. James Tor, who's very religious, and he's respectful. And even though, you know, he's extremely religious, but and he destroyed Dave because he's a you know, a PhD, high level biochemist, synthetic, can do the formulas on the board by heart. And Dave, of course, is a parrot. You know, he parrots other researchers' propaganda. And when James Tor tells him, no, you write the equation. You know, you don't tell me that this guy produced a paper telling you that life started from nothing, which is a total lie, because I mean, James Tor, that's his specialty. That's what he even when they try to create these amino acids, they use the kit from nature. They're not starting from, and they're doing it in a lab. And that's my whole thing with Architects of Humanity. Right. I'm saying, yeah, life is not happening outside in the dust and on the rocks and stuff. Everything that's being done to even testing is always done in a lab. So when I look at these animal forms that, you know, adapt to a certain level within their species, not turning into something else, you know, I try to present these things like, I had went on the Machine Lies channel last week, and one guy, you know, he had left a comment. I didn't know it was him, but he's like, oh, you know, I saw you on, you know, this guy's channel, and he wants to debate. And I tell him, look, I don't debate, but when I went on there, he started to say stuff, and then Machine was like, yeah, that's, you know, because I said somebody left a comment the other day, and he goes, yeah, that's the guy. And you know, I eventually left because I was just like, this guy's a flaming idiot. And all they want to do is argue. And I'm like, look, you know, if you're so secure in what you believe in, you don't have to say anything to me about it. But you're not secure. The fact that you are saying stuff to me, trying to change what I've researched, shows me that you're insecure about what you believe, because maybe yeah, I touched upon something that shows that what they believe is not scientific, that it's a belief. And they want to think it's scientific, like Dave. Fake Professor Dave is the biggest with that. And his channel grew. When I first saw his channel, he had 2 million subs. Now I think he's over 4 million. And when he was at 2 million, I left a comment like, I said something about like, you got to be kidding me if you think this just happened by, chance. And he responded to it out of like almost 1,000 comments. And I said, for this guy to respond, and at that time, I think I had less than 1,000 subscribers. And I said, this guy's ego is so fragile for him to respond to that in a hostile manner. And I just laughed at it. And I think that kind of got him even more hostile. But after that, yeah, I haven't. I left a comment, I think a couple months ago. I said, let me see if he'll say something. But he just, I didn't really see a response or anything. And usually his trolls and his minions will come out and try to defend, the state, basically, because that's what they are. His whole, these are the people that they're the ones that either a lot of them are NPCs or zombies, but he is, you're right, he's YouTube's little child. They protect their minions. You like you're saying, he plays up people's.
He toes the line of the establishment. That's what they want on YouTube. They don't want people who question authority. They want people just like him. I mean, he's still on here chanting safe and effective. He'll get on here and say that, the jabs are these perfectly healthy things that have no side effects. But yeah, my child also has the A thing, and we don't really know what caused that, but it could have been anything except for a jab.
Yeah, that is crazy. I mean, and I've talked to friends of mine. I say even the ones, any of those, like when they get them when they're very young, there is a link. I mean, I've studied medicine for 20 years, and I've talked to doctors that one guy, he has a channel on Facebook actually with 500,000 followers, and he's disgusted. He doesn't even like to be called a medical doctor. I met him 20 years ago, and we just clicked as friends, and he inspired me to really study into medicine a lot, even though I never became a doctor. But and probably due to him, because he's like, look, he goes, he can't stand doctors. He said they'll lie. He goes, if you come in with say you have cancer, he goes, the first thing they're like, okay, look, let's cut you up, and then we'll radiate you. We'll bombard you. And you look at the process. When I used to see people just expiring in his clinic, and I would be like, I could see the look on his face, like whenever somebody died, and I'm like, man, this guy is going through a lot. And finally, he because he's about 20 years old. Tom's got to be in his 70s now, and he left the country. I remember him telling me when he left New York, he goes, you got to leave New York. And I was taking care of a family member, and I go, I can't really leave. I said, I'm here, for a while. And then he went to Arizona, started the Oasis of Healing to cure people there. And eventually he went overseas, and, everybody walks their path, but he always told me, one time he told me in 2001, he goes, every time I buy something, I feel like I vote yes for the system. And I was just like, yeah. I said, we're in a predicament. We really are. And yeah. So a lot of professionals that I actually met Dr. Hal Huggins back in 2004. He wrote the book, It's All in Your Head, about the mercury fillings. They took his dental license because he was a dental doctor surgeon. And he started practicing in Mexico. And the guy's a genius. He created the blood serum compatibility test to test your blood against dental materials. So when you have the mercury taken out, you'll have a non-toxic thing put back in that doesn't react with your blood in a violent manner to where it could cause any problems. And then other dentists that I met that I became friends with, when I took the test and I had the fillings changed, I paid $250. They drew the blood. They tested it at Enzo Labs. They got shut down about 15 years ago. And I remember one of my friends who's a dentist, he goes, this is crazy. He goes, he was sending blood tests across the, in between Long Island and Connecticut. I think it's, I don't know if it's Greenwich or I forgot what place it is, but they were doing the test there. And then he got paranoid and he stopped doing it. He goes, what are we going to do? And I was like, man, I said, we don't realize that we're at war. They're at war with us. This is a silent war. They used to use that term, silent weapons for quiet wars or something.
Right, comes from a book.
Yeah. Yeah. So, a lot of these guys, and they can't say much because they work in the medical professional field. I know some academics that they cannot go against the religion of evolution because if they say anything, they won't be at the university. And they're like, look, biologists are even like, look, this thing cannot form by chance. These certain life forms, there's no way. And they can't talk to anybody about it. That's why I think Richard Milton, he was contacted and he wrote the book Shattering the Myths of Darwinism. And he said it was because he's part of Mensa, the Genius Institute in the UK. And I have his book actually. And he goes, yeah, he goes, these biologists and friends of his came to him and said, look, we can't publish this. If we publish this, we won't be able to stay in the lab or the university and stuff. And I'm just like, wow. It's just really, it's something, man. Yeah, Sons of God says that we call those people gatekeepers. Yes, they're definitely gatekeepers. They just, yeah,
This point you're making about Mercury, Mercury is going to become a huge theme right now. And I'm going to explain to you some things that you might have overlooked. Trump just turned 80 this weekend. Like we were just talking about the woman who died with the 80 connection.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the periodic table, Mercury is the 80th element. And by the way, gold is the 79th element. Gold had its best year since 1979. Not by accident, just shows you how manipulated the market is. They did 1 million gold rituals while Trump was 79. The Golden Knights just got eliminated in the Stanley Cup one day, the day Trump turned 80. They're no longer playing now that he's not 79 anymore. All 3 Triple Crown races this year. The first was won by Golden Tempo. The second was won by Napoleon Solo, owned by Gold LLC, a trading company. And then Golden Tempo also won the third leg of the Triple Crown. They just went crazy with gold. By the way, guys, there's something called Sumerian gematria, just multiplying the alphabetic order times 6. Gold equals 228. Gold's peak this past year was 228 days after Trump's 79th birthday. Completely rigged. But here's the thing about Trump turning 80 and Mercury being the 80th element on the periodic table. You know how Comey did that 8647 thing? Mm-hmm. With the seashells? James Comey, the 8647.
It sounds familiar. I don't remember it totally. 8647.
James Comey, the former head of the FBI who had the fallout with Trump during his first term.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it was a big news story that Comey did the 8647 with the seashells, and that happened on May 15th, which is the day the Romans would celebrate Mercury. That's Mercuralia. And you might recall in 2020, that was the day Trump declared Operation Warp Speed to develop the Pokey-Dokes, which are full of mercury. Wow. And 2 years to the day earlier, May 15th, 2018, was actually the first simulation for the Cooties 19, also on Mercuralia. That was called Cladex, if you want to look it up. They simulate that they'll rush out Pokey-Dokes for the Cooties 19 that will do more damage than good. Go figure, they simulated that. So that was also on Mercury Day. When RFK Jr. had his first press conference for Trump, he did it on a Wednesday, the day of the week named after Mercury. And he said how Mercury is this major health hazard in the world. No kidding. But he had to do that on a Wednesday, the day of the week named after Mercury. Are you aware that this NFL season is going to begin for the first time on a Wednesday?
No, I don't know. Like, when do they usually begin?
Thursday. Well, it used to always be Sunday, and then probably for the last 20 or so years, it's been Thursday. But for the first time ever, it's going to begin on a Wednesday, right? And if you look up Mercury, it has an 88-day orbital cycle. That Wednesday will be the 88th day of Trump's age, right? And just in the most simple cipher, Trump equals 88. Run it in reverse, Trump equals 47, like he's number 47 now.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Trump, the small way with numerology, equals 25 and 29, like he came back into office in 2025, and he's slated to be in office until 2029. So all 4 of those ciphers, again, just they've done so many things with 88 and Trump over the years. The big one was the Mar-a-Lago raid on 88. Last year, Charlie Kirk, his wingman, gets shot 88 days after his birthday, on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
The Pope died at 88 on Rome's birthday on the 312th day of Trump's age after Trump supposedly got 312 electoral college votes. Jorge Mario Bergoglio, his full name equals 312. Then we get the first American Pope from Chicago, the 312 area code. But anyway, the 8647 thing. In Gematria, Mercury equates to 86 and Mercuralia equals 47. He did the 8647 thing 8,647 days after 9/11, if you weren't aware of that.
Oh, wow. That's like.
And then this year, there was the story, just like the Gavin Newsom story yesterday, there was the story that Trump's DOJ was, they filed an indictment against Comey. And I said, watch, Comey's going to turn himself on a Wednesday. I said, just watch. And sure enough, Comey turned himself in on a Wednesday named after Mercury. So I'm wondering if at age 80, number 47 might actually get 86th with all these assassination stories. Now, if that ends up being a headline, I'm pretty sure it'll be a hoax. But, the consequences will still be all the same because people don't understand that this stuff is I can't believe anybody fell for the July 13th, 2024 shooting hoax under the 13 stripes, where the Secret Service gave him a second to pause and get the fist up under the 13 stripes. Do you know that they lowered the flag in the moment?
Yes, I remember. It was so staged. And, I've been privy to just be that way. Like when 9/11 happened, I knew I came home. I had an appointment at 7:30 a.m. that day. I got back at 9 and it was a little after 9. And my sister left a message on the answer machine saying, turn on the TV. The first plane must have already hit. And I'm looking at it. And then the second, I'm not thinking much of it. The second one hits and I'm like, wow, look at what the government did. I couldn't talk to the only person that I could talk to was Tom, the doctor. And when I went to Nassau County and he was like, come in the office and shut the door. And he's like, you saw what the government did? I was like, yeah, man. I said, this is crazy. So we knew like right off the bat. And like when I see anything like what you just mentioned and other things happen, it's like, to me, it's very easy to accept. I'm dealing with basically the United States of criminals. And it's just full, like you were saying, just from the beginning, telling me Columbus discovered America, all of this. It was just lies from day one, schooling, just trying to destroy me. And now, some people come out with the internet. You can see the videos with Charlotte Iserbyt, who was the head of education during Reagan. And
she wrote The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America, didn't she?
Yeah. She was, I tell you, man, she came out, she was a storm. She was a trooper. She was like, look, this is horrible what they're doing. They're doing this by design. Also, John Taylor Gatto, he was a teacher in New York City for 30 years. He said he taught in the public school trenches. He wrote Weapons of Mass Instruction. And I think, I forgot his other book, but he was a real strong, advocate for homeschooling or unschooling. They would call it deschooling. Grace Llewellyn wrote a book I have, The Teenage Liberation Handbook, How to Quit School and Get a Real Life in Education. And she, again, hammered on it. She started the Not Back to School camp in Oregon. I tried to speak with her. She's so busy, about 10 years ago. And amazing ideas. Like she would say, school teaches you two things, how to sit and obey. And she was the one that introduced me to John Holt, which I think is regarded as the father of homeschooling from the early part of the 20th century. And it just showed me how much I had to really like heal from with school. I mean, thank goodness I never really went. But as I got into high school, I was working more. But it's horrible, man. It really gets into the mental trauma type of thing that I didn't think of it as trauma. But then I realized, wow, I maybe must have shielded my mind from things, or maybe compartmentalized stuff to where I didn't know like it had an effect. Being in the military as a teenager, getting out in my early 20s, being like a Ronin and a rogue throughout society because I was just I was done with society by that time because I had saw so much corruption as a kid, and then going into after the military, just seeing like, wow, everything is based on crookery and lies. And I didn't know as much as I know now, of course, but as the years went by and you start to see, and it's just, you almost just lose the ability to even want to be part of society. So it kind of let me see things from a different aspect, which helped me. As Varun, brother, thank you for the support, bro. If you want to hop on, we got the link. I think Scribe jumped off. I was going to ask him if he wanted to ask you anything because he's really deep into a lot of the esoteric stuff. I don't think we've never really talked about numerology, but he definitely goes into like a lot of the astrological and stuff like that. But yeah, really I'm YouTube, I feel very similar to how you feel. Like I'm happy being on YouTube. I like when other creators like yourself produce this knowledgeable content that I can learn from doing streams myself. It's messed up because it is an atmosphere where sometimes I feel a little worried, and I shouldn't feel that way. It's like, you say something and then they'll come out. Like I had a stream a few years ago where they did do the medical thing, and it was basically talking about artificial wombs. And I had the calf, or I think it was Dolly, the sheep or something like that. And they said it was the misinformation. And I'm saying, wait a second, what do you mean? This is a speculative stream. I'm not saying it's a real thing. I'm saying, look, and they took it. They didn't give me a strike, thank goodness. They just took it down. They removed it. And I was
They've
like,
become better about that in recent years. Not everything is a strike now, but they do take down a lot of content, and it's still like, okay, did this really need to be taken down? I mean, they mislabel things all the time. It's maddening.
yeah.
My video on Charlie Kirk's assassination, I used to get really good views on my channel. The day that George Herbert Walker Bush died, I was always telling the Q people that was a psyop, and you guys are getting taken by a psyop. But I had a lot of people on Q following me. I think Q was partly created to make some of us look crazy because Q started using gematria in a really dumb way. But I told everybody that the day that John McCain died, that George Herbert Walker Bush was going to die by November 30th at age 94. I said he will not live past November 30th. 11 plus 30, 41. And I explained that Paul Walker, remember Paul Walker, the actor?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Remember how he died in the red Porsche?
Yeah, from the Fast and Furious. Yeah.
Well, but the red Porsche, he wasn't the Fast and the Furious. But have you seen the Skulls about Skull and Bones?
Yeah, that was like the first, like one of the early films, right?
And it came out just before George W. Bush got elected.
Wow.
And of course, George W. Bush ran against John Kerry in 2004, another Skull and Bones member.
Mm-hmm.
But Paul Walker gets a red Porsche from the Skull and Bones fraternity in the movie, right? And he dies on, think about it, Paul Walker, George Walker Bush, George Herbert Walker Bush. So this is the point I made. I said, he very well could die on November 30th, the same day Paul Walker died. 11 plus 30s, 41. He was number 41. Skull and Bones equals 41. Did you see the actor from Gomer Pyle just died on Papa Bush's birthday, June 12th?
Who, Jim Neighbors?
No, older guy. He died. See, no one's going to question the death of a 94-year-old, but that's the same age Papa Bush died at. Let me see. Ronnie Shell just died at 94 on Papa Bush's birthday, right? And nobody will ever question the death of a 94-year-old. But the thing is, he died 41 days after the anniversary of Gomer Pyle ending.
Wow.
They do this stuff all the time. So anyway, Skull and Bones equals 41. And if you go to Yale's campus, they actually have a huge plaque up that says there's 41 secret societies at this university. Of course, the most famous is Skull and Bones. The second most famous one there is Lock and Key, and that Lock and Key have that 41 gematria. Anyway, Paul Walker dies 5 years to the day of George Herbert Walker Bush on the same day. And of course, John McCain and Papa Bush have similar stories that they, were in the war and they were in plane crashes. And I forget if they say Papa Bush was a prisoner of war too. I can't remember if that's part of his story or not. Definitely for McCain. But Yeah, that's where linked. Anyway, the point I'm making is the day that this is why they'll never let people like us do well. And the day that Papa Bush died, because a lot of people were following that, and I used to get good views back then. I got over 1 million views on that video within about 12 hours, and then they took the video offline. But in that 12 hours, I sold over $10,000 in books, right?
Wow.
That is the power of having a viral video. So you think about these viral guys out here that are just viral every single day, that are selling all this crap, supplements, t-shirts, all this stuff. These people are making a fortune. And most of them are people like Professor Dave, just peddling a horrible message, a message that serves the authority.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why YouTube is really zeroed in on people who have a good message, and they just destroy you from the beginning. Look at your numbers. You have a great message. Your shows are interesting. You have horrible viewership compared to, say, Professor Dave Explains. And it will always be that way on this platform. That is the downside of staying here. But the reason I still maintain and stay here, even though I can't get any views anymore, for the most part, is because I know they want us gone, and I don't want to give them what they want.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, I hear you. I when I first started the channel, I did switch the name a few times. It was Wisdom Radio back in 21. And we switched over from another channel and we sold it, Scribe and I. And then, it was getting okay, for a channel. I hadn't broke the 1,000, like just on the strength of the other one, I had like about 900. And it was getting, maybe if I was lucky after a stream, 1,000 views. So it was a little ahead of the curve, but then I didn't stream for a little bit, and it kind of dropped, people just, not being steady. And then I was going to write a book called American Zombie, and I still have the stuff. I might just produce videos on it. And I changed this channel. Scribe goes, look, you might want to change the name to American Zombie. So I kept it for American Zombie for about another 1.5 years, maybe 2. And then, I was like, look, there's just too many zombies, man. I said, it's not even worth me producing this. I said, I gotta, I said, 1 year, the message is there. I said, but it's not, everybody's a zombie. I said, so it just doesn't make sense. And I was like, I said, let me just get this book out about human origins before I die or something. And, I'm still kind of, some people think, okay, the change, because I said, okay, how's anybody going to take the channel seriously if I go on other channels as American Zombie? It was catching on a little, but I said, just in case it gets big or whatever, I don't think American Zombie is the name. So I changed it to Architects of Humanity a couple of months ago. And it's been, beating the heck out of me to try to get this book finally edited. And, it's like my friend Jill, she's an editor, really cool person, like a sister to me. And it just, it can almost get you to where you're demoralized by all the stuff, having to worry. And, now I'm knocking it down to about 80 pages with different sections because people aren't really reading.
They don't. Keep it short. Keep it short. The mistake I made with my books is I made them too long.
Yeah, and I was thinking, I said,
put it out in volumes. I wouldn't go over 100 pages. If your book's 300 pages, break it into 3 volumes.
Exactly. You're absolutely right. Absolutely. And then they're saying now for the last few years that audiobooks have outsold ebooks. So now
everyone and their mom has begged me to make an ebook. You can do that now easily with AI. So I should even just turn my books into audiobooks with AI. The problem with my books, if I do an audiobook, is I have all these mathematical breakdowns come doing gematria. Who wants to sit there and listen to D4, I9? You know what I mean? That would drive me insane. So I got to figure out a way to write these books in an audio-friendly format.
Yeah. And also sometimes I'm thinking of just narrating it myself so it can have a right cadence or something to where it just...
And you have a good voice, so that'd work out. I'm not a big fan of my own voice, but your voice would work.
Thanks. Yeah, no, you have a good voice too, man.
I don't know about that. I'm a little bit on the nasally side. I'll take it though. Somebody asked me something in the chat. I want to give them a. Can I share something with a question that was asked to me in the chat?
Sure. Where, is it up further? Who was the one that left the question?
They asked if they can use this knowledge for the market, and I want to give them a very specific answer and something to watch. I'll give you another movie to watch.
Oh wait, is it GG? This one? Can I use gematria?
The answer is yes, in a major way. We really changed a lot of people's lives, and I'll tell you, just you can do it. You guys, the game is rigged with this knowledge. Do you see how Wall Street was traces back to the address 68 Wall Street? Do you see that on the screen?
Okay, yeah.
Look at this, you guys. Look at the word stock in the most simple cipher. If I can type here, stock 68. You see that?
Wow.
Look at the word market.
Holy smokes.
Do you see how the IPO for okay, first of all, IPO 41, just like joke, the IPO for SpaceX was announced on April 1st, April Fool's Day, right? But then it goes off at $135. SpaceX IPO 135, right? And look at Wall Street, forwards and backwards 135, right?
Wow.
This is how everything is controlled this way. Have you seen the movie Pi?
No, I remember that movie though, but I didn't see it. Yeah.
So do you remember in Pi, he's trying to figure out, he knows there's something mathematical and pattern oriented about the market. He's trying to solve it.
I think I do remember that scene.
Okay. Well, this is what the movie's about. He's trying to figure out what's going on with the market. And then he's at a cafe and an Orthodox Jew comes up to him and he says, "Hey man, did you know the Bible is all numbers?" And he's like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, look at this. In Hebrew, every letter's a number." And he goes, "Let me show you some things about the Torah." And he starts showing him how it's all math equations. And he's like, "Huh." Now, they just throw that scene in the movie, right? Mm-hmm. But he never ends up applying that knowledge to the market. He should have, because this is how the market is rigged. This is how the sports games are rigged. It's like today, you guys, Leo Messi, right? He had a hat trick today. He gets to 16 career goals in the World Cup on the 16th. We loved him to score at least one today because he was playing in Kansas City, abbreviated KC, K plus C, 11 plus 3, 14. We knew his next goal was 14. 14 hit so hard in sports in Kansas City, so we said he should score today and get that 14th goal. He scores 3 goals to get to 16 on the 16th. Not an accident. Sports are so scripted, it's ridiculous. He won the last World Cup one day after the Pope's 86th birthday, the first World Cup for Argentina since 86. But anyway, go back to the pandemic. I predicted in March, I saw that Bill Gates invested in Moderna. And Moderna is run by 2 Jesuits, just for the record. The Jesuits were the entire face of the pandemic. But I said, look at this. Bill Gates has invested in Moderna. He's saying they got a promising product here to solve. Come on, you guys, think about it too. Moderna had never made a Pokédoke before. They're just going to come out of nowhere as a new company and rush out a Pokédoke to save us from the Cooties 19. First of all, how stupid does that sound? But I said, it doesn't matter. I said, okay, Bill Gates, the name Bill Gates equals 57. So does the word VACCINE, right? 57. Bill Gates, 57. VACCINE, 57. I said, I don't know exactly what they're going to do, but I said, just watch. On May 7th, something's going to happen that's going to cause the Moderna stock price to skyrocket. I hate to invest in these companies, but I said, just watch. Something's going to happen on May 7th. Sure enough, what happens on May 7th? That morning, the headline breaks. FDA approves Moderna Pokédoke as first Cooties 19 jab for phase 2 testing. What happened to the Moderna stock price? Skyrockets on May 7th. I called that out in March when the headline broke that Bill Gates endorsed the Pokédoke. This stuff goes on all the time. In 2023, again, I hate to see, that's the thing about investing in the market. You're investing in these evil ass companies. In 2023, I said, Apple's going to have a great year in 2023. Apple equals 23. Apple way exceeded expectations for 2023. It was one of the best performing big tech stocks of 2023. So yeah, you can use this knowledge to take advantage of the market. You can take advantage it's the way crypto's rigged. It's the way the sports games are rigged. It's the way your news headlines are rigged. It's the way the elections are rigged. This knowledge, again, all knowledge is important, but I have never come across a piece of knowledge that you can use to take advantage of all this rigging I don't know anything else. It's like the ultimate Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, I mean, that would. I'm at a point in my life where, I was taking care of a loved one working for the state when a couple of years ago, they, I'm not employed with them, but I've just been working odd and here and there. And, I was thinking about just doing radio host stuff, but it just, like you already see, it's hard. I see these guys making millions of dollars on YouTube.
You got to sell out. You got to sell out if you want to make the big bucks.
It's crazy. And, I'm not looking for the super crazy, just rich. Because I told Scribe, I said, look, I'm Gen X. I said, maybe, frugally $1.5 million, I can probably retire and just live on 20 grand a year or something. I said, I've always lived basically on a poverty level. But at least I won't have to worry, getting older and stuff. It's like, it just, life can get kind of hard. So I said, I'm not, if I make $10 million, great. I said, but I'm not really shooting for that. I said, just the basic enough to pay off the house and make sure everything's secure. And, it's like, it's a tough. I mean, I see the saying from Henry David Thoreau, most of us live quiet lives of desperation or depression and like a low grade. But I look at it like, wow, maybe I can figure something out with the book and going forward. It gets to a point where it seems almost hopeless, but I figure there's with the internet.
Let me tell you something else about. I'm imagining you're planning on self-publishing.
Yeah, on Amazon as usual. Yeah.
Okay, I haven't done it through Amazon. I know that's an inexpensive way to do it, and maybe it's a better way. Mm-hmm. I want to tell you about my experience. Andrew Cuomo's book on Cooties 19, ironically, came out on the same day as mine. And what was amazing to witness is my book had way more reviews for about the first month than his did. Now, he got paid $5 million to write his book. And Amazon actually took away a bunch of reviews, but I still have nearly 1,000 5-star reviews. If you look up my book on Amazon about Cooties 19.
Wow.
And it, it was an important book because I told everybody in that book at the beginning of it, before the clot shots even came out, why you didn't want those things and why they would wind down the pandemic as soon as the year of the tiger came around, which is exactly what they did. Mm-hmm. But here's what I'm telling you. I went through Book Baby, right? And in the first 2 months, they sent me about $40-some thousand in payments for the first 2 months. And then every single month after that, they sent me exactly $200 every single month for going on about 3 straight years after that. The book came out in 2020. Wow. It didn't make any sense how it would just be $200 every month, because the deal is I got paid $2 per copy sold, right? Mm-hmm. So every month it sold exactly 100 copies. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. And then when I would reach out to them, they'd say, listen, everything's legit here. That's just what it's selling. And I'd say, how can it be the same payment every single month?
Yeah, that's extremely odd. So you're saying the first 2 months it was 40,000, and then 200.
No. In the first 2 months, it made $40-some thousand in the first 2 months.
Okay. All right.
And then every month after that, they just sent me exactly $200 every single month. 200.
Yeah, that's
and it went on for 3 straight years like that. And then finally it went below that. But I just said, I'm getting screwed here. There's no way this is selling exactly $200 worth every single month. What's going on?
Yeah, no, there's something. I'm on Amazon now. What was the name of it again?
If you search Zachary K. Hubbard, Number Games will come up.
Okay. Number of games. Yeah, because I've noticed I haven't made a lot on okay, yeah, I see. Yeah, 824 reviews. So it went down.
There used to be a lot more. Amazon swept just a bunch of positive reviews away overnight one day. I was like, that's weird. They took away like 100 and some reviews overnight.
Yeah, I could definitely, and they do that. They definitely do that. It's the biggest platform. I wonder, it's like maybe there's some way to figure it out. What's weird is, okay, I just had it and it kind of switched. That's the weirdest thing, man. It just, they're definitely messing around with something. And, I was letting Scribe know, I said, it's just, I would think it's a matter of marketing, You know what's weird is that I clicked the Amazon page for your book, and 2 times now it switched me, and I'm thinking I didn't click on nothing. So how does it switch me?
Well, you,
And I
you
have
know what they kept doing too? They kept hiding my book for a while. There were periods of time where like you'd search it and it just wouldn't show up, but it was actually there because then I had the link saved. So I'd go to the save link and I'm like, oh, look, it does show up, but you can't find it anywhere in the search. That happened a number of times. And then the Kindle version is what would sell the best. And for periods of time, they would just take away the Kindle version. Probably since it's released, it's probably a year's worth of time at least where you couldn't get the Kindle version for one reason or another. So they did things to interfere with sales. But I'm telling you, I started getting screwed in the 3rd month because there's just no way that for 3 straight years it sold the exact same amount of copies every single month. That's impossible.
yeah, that definitely is not going to happen because
And
I've
just a
been on
huge
it.
drop off too. 20-some thousand, 20-some thousand, 200.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is just that's ridiculous. Yeah, when you think about that, it's like holy
So
smokes.
that's my warning about the self-publishing thing.
Yeah.
And who knows? Amazon could do the same thing, really. I mean, when everything's digital, it's easy to hide the truth.
Oh yeah, and they can just press a button to delete it. What I always liked was they eat the print cost. Yeah, you don't make as much off the print. I know how to upload the hardcover, the paperback. I also opened the ACX account, which is Audible, which is linked to them. So I guess the account is ACX and the company is Audible, which I guess would link, but I just never got around to doing an audio book with the anagrams and stuff. And yeah, I thought, okay, I see people making money. I said, wow, it could be, possible to make a living as an author. But I'm so paranoid, like, especially with the stories that from what you said. And then, what happened, what you said with your mother on Etsy, that's like, it's crazy. It's like if she's making that for 10 years in a row.
And then just cut off like that, just boom, all of a sudden, just nothing. No orders, no inquiries, just nothing. Like she's not showing up in their search.
Wow. Yeah, there's something going on. They are clearly messing with people. And that's where I figured, because even with American Zombie, I was like, okay, I just didn't see the audience for it. And then I thought, okay, I've been studying human origins for over 20 years, ancient civilizations. It's definitely a passionate part of what I like to do. And then it's, I figured it would be safe. And I didn't just go into it because it is still alternative, because it goes against their so-called golden calf of evolution and stuff. But with the Ancient Alien series that they had on the History Channel, these guys, I would think they made enough money on there. They seem like maybe they didn't, because a friend of mine bought some tickets. They had came to New York.
Well, some people are real stupid with their money.
Yeah, it could be that, but when I saw them, it was it was such a scam, because my friend goes, he'll buy the ticket and we'll go see him. And I didn't really want to go, but I said, all right, if he's paying, I'll go. And they were like, nobody can get pictures. They had security all over the theater. The theater held about 800 people. And I was like, what is this? And then, it was like really messed up the way they treated the people there. And, I'm feeling paranoid. I'm saying, wow, they're walking up and down the aisles, making sure nobody's taking a picture with their camera or their phone. And they're on stage, like just having a conversation with each other. And I'm sitting there like, man, this sucks. And when they played clips from the History Channel show, that was the last straw. I was like, wait, they're playing. Yeah. I said, you got to be kidding me. So I just lost. Yeah.
Yeah. How gimmicky. You paid all that money to come watch it. You could have watched it at home on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I just saw the full blown scam. And, I had gave a few lectures back in Nassau County about human origins in 2012, 2013. And it's, I didn't make a lot of money. It was like maybe $300. I didn't even think I was going to get paid for the speaking, but about 70 people showed up, which I was like, wow, that's, it's a topic that I noticed a lot of the older generation is very interested in. Can I make money off of it to survive? I'm not sure.
Now, do you have anything that you put behind a paywall?
No, I do. Well, I just have the books on Amazon, Secret Words, and that I did the YouTube thing, but it wasn't really a big thing. I just, it was they sent me an email. I was like, okay. But yeah, I was thinking of a website because Scribe, his expertise is, computer, like technician and stuff.
That's what you need to do. You need to put something behind a paywall. Still do your free show. It's essentially your marketing, getting people introduced, but put something of value and don't make it expensive. But just the people who support you, they'll go there and they'll buy that product, or they'll get that extra show, or one of your shows a week is behind the paywall. And maybe that's one where you really, bring out the best of Maxed Out this each week. I told you the FBI came to my house August 21st, 2018. Now, up until that point, everything I did was totally free because that's how I wanted to be. I wanted to show people that I was only here to get out a message because I'm concerned about the world we live in and the direction we're going, which is still the case to this day.
Mm-hmm.
But when the FBI came to my house, my wife freaked out because what had also just happened earlier in that same week is I had decided I was going to go back into teaching. I used to teach fifth grade. We moved, and I just decided I missed work. I hate the school system, but I like working with children. And anyway, so I just decided I was going to go back into teaching. I just missed it. And I got offered a job. And then at the beginning of that same week where the FBI came, I got a letter in the mail that said the job offer had been rescinded and I was not eligible for employment in the district, which was totally laughable because literally the school district moved to Yakima Schools in Washington State is the worst school district in Washington State. They need good teachers, and I definitely have a good track record as a teacher. Obviously, my job offer was rescinded, which I found out was because of the first book I wrote, Letters and Numbers, and which is also BS. I mean, that's the kind of stuff they should be teaching in school in reality, but of course, these are indoctrination centers. So my wife was pissed. She said, "Look at this, Zach. You can't even work in your profession. And now you got the FBI coming here threatening you. You need to do something." And I said, "Well, hold on." I said, a lot of people follow me for the sports. I said, let me try monetizing the upcoming NFL season's picks. And I couldn't believe how many people signed up on the first day. I said, oh, well, thank God I didn't go back into teaching. So now, I mean, part of that is I built up a track record. USA Today wrote a hit piece on me in 2016 because I fully exposed their NFL season like nobody's business. I told everybody at the start of the season what two teams would be in the Super Bowl, who'd win the MVP, and what the halftime show would be all at the start of the season before any of it was called or happened. But again, the point is put something behind a paywall. I realize how much money I left on the table by not monetizing 5 years earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you obviously have something valuable to offer. So people who support you, and as you can grow your brand, if you put more time into it, it can become quite lucrative to have whatever content behind the paywall. A gentleman who I brought into this community as a decoder, he now only does everything behind the paywall, and I know he's greatly improved his life. He was pretty poor living in New York City, and now he's doing all right. He's got himself his first house and everything, and. So yeah, wow. Paywall.
Yeah. I think I have I'm thinking of doing the videos, maybe putting them behind. I told Scribe, I said, look, like 2 or 3 years ago, I had a short. I made it private after they sent me to YouTube school and everything, and made me like basically apologize or whatever. But it had got 1.4 million views, 1,400,000 views, but it was a short. And they paid me 300 and change for it. And then, I thought, okay, he was saying if it was a video, you would have got $3,000 because it pays 10 times more. So a video with 1.5 million usually is actually a little more. And I thought, okay, if I can produce content with the video avenue might be worth it, because I doubt, getting 1 million views on a live stream is just not realistic.
Not for your content on YouTube anymore.
Yeah,
impossible,
definitely.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So I figured if I do videos that maybe appeal to some, something that could go viral, like that previous one I had a few years ago, it's a possibility, because if I'm pulling $3,000 to $5,000 on the video, great. That's like really good case scenario, because you're looking at to get the million. I said, even if I get 10 videos, they get 100,000 a piece, it still adds up to the million. And if it's within a month, if I can pull maybe $5,000, that's 60 a year. If I can do it steadily after tax, it'll be 40. Even though taxes are going up here, a lot of people.
You got to get about 500,000 views a month right now to get $5,000 if you're streaming like this. 500,000 is going to be about 5,000 plus. So that's what you got to hit right now to get that money.
Yeah. So I figure some videos would be in the open because I would be making the money off the view count being paid by YouTube. And then, like you said, put a couple behind a paywall, get it to a point where I can drop a short every day that is linked to the video too, because they let you link the shorts to the video. So it's like the tool is there. It's just a matter of tweaking it, like you were saying, and getting it to that right level. So hopefully, I'll see what happens. Scribe is always telling me he's trying to get me to go to Kick or Rumble or something,
a lot of people are telling me to go to Kick too. I still haven't tried it out.
Yeah,
I just get to have a large following for that already.
I've been fighting him on it, and he's like constantly like, look, because he sees, how the censorship, with this, he goes, look, man, you're they can change the rules at any time. And they do say that in the terms of service.
They don't even have any rules. Their terms of service are so vague. That's why they can just get you on anything. And then when they do get you, they give you an explanation that makes zero sense. Then you appeal and they're like, sorry, we're upholding it. It's like, okay.
Exactly. And if you win an appeal, I've won a couple, man, they get pissed off. They'll reinstate the video. Then the next thing you put out,
you're stuck on for another video.
Yeah, exactly. I've noticed that with them. So it's just like, man, this is a tough one. And, I figured I'll just take it as it comes, and just see what happens.
There's a movie coming out that's completely AI generated. It's only the guy made it for $2,000. So maybe, documentaries and movies might be your ticket. Because I think your videos are great, MD.
Well,
I think your videos are great.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because I had a friend bringing me to a few theaters about, it was last month. And I was asking them, how much is it to rent the theater for, the section? So they were telling me they had one with 190 seats, and they go, it's $500 an hour. And I said, okay, so if I made a film that was 45 minutes, or even if, how much can I go to the hour? I just wanted to make sure that, okay, what do I keep the revenue from the box office? And as far as what it seems, it's like, it gives me the local thing. And then another theater told me if I can get 60 people to watch, that I don't have to pay the money, that we can split the take at $12 a ticket. So I was like, okay, I said, this gets my foot in the door to say, okay, I produced this. It was out there. And I produced something similar to Ancient Aliens on YouTube called Descendants of Atlantis. It was a 24-minute episode. I had myself and two other people. I blurred part that I was on out, some of it, because I just said, I've got to make a better quality. But Carolina and Al is still on there. And it was from artifacts I took pictures of in the Metropolitan Museum. Didn't get a lot of views. I produced it 10 years ago, actually. In 2016, I think it's got like maybe 7,000, if that. And that was like trying to push it and tell people. So I said, this is just I got to find a different way to push this. If I can get it in the theater, that's a big step right there, to be able to get it in so cheap. Maybe even talk to some people before I make it to try to get product placement. So they might pay and say, okay, if you put this in the scene. And I did think about making it with AI. I considered that. Yeah. It wouldn't cost that much. $1,000 is probably, you could easily.
Maybe even something like a comedy in a way, because I think you deliver some good comedy also. You know what I mean? You got a talent for that.
Comedy is the ticket, man. If you can do comedy, that's what you should spend your time on.
Yeah,
you got some good creativity. That's creativity. That's artwork. That's not. It is artwork.
That's what people want to listen to.
Yeah, I wonder if comedy with real person or comedy with cartoons, because I am an animator as well. But I can
always do it every way you can do it.
Yeah, Yeah.
Yeah,
So
try it both ways. Try it both ways. See
yeah,
what works for you.
yeah.
Ball Chaser, I think, was a major success. I think that's a big door for you open for
It
yourself.
could be. The thing is, it goes against what the majority wants. Like what I'm learning is that if I, not totally just selling out, but it's to say I've always loved to do animation. So like when I saw the animated film Heavy Metal as a kid in the theater, I was like, wow, I want to produce an animated movie. As you get older, the dream fades,
Of
but
course.
I can still do it. I still have a lot of my files. I got over 10 years of animation. But it's like, okay, now it's like, what's going to sell to the masses? I got to learn how to, at least
Yes.
until I make enough money to live to where I can say, all right, even though it's a little bit that other people probably couldn't live on because they have a family, I can live on it myself as a single guy. And then I can just say, all right, now I can do what I want to do, or continue in that field of animation.
What about your books? Could you bring your books to a movie?
No, I don't think those will sell. It's like each scribe keeps telling me, and I say, if it's not, if it's a niche product, like truth is hard to sell. There's a thing I printed out in 2011. I know I got it on my shelf somewhere, but it was taken from a book of The Grape of the Ape, I think from the 70s. And it says, it's messed up, but it's true. It says, why lies sell better than truth. Now, it had parts where it says, have you ever heard of somebody bribing a jury to tell the truth? It's like, no, they bribed them to lie. Um, Truth is free. Anybody can really find it. The only reason a person would pay for the truth, it said, is to hide the truth. So they'll buy it, like people will use the truth to blackmail people, stuff like that. So they'll want to buy it to bury it. A lie is a highly polished, well fabricated work of art. It says this is why they cost so much, and it went into a few other things where I was like, wow, I should have took the advice and just continue making cartoons and just make people laugh. Like Zach saying, comedy is the key. Just to say, hey, you know what? This is a cartoon that I wrote the script about. I think I wrote it about 8 years ago, and a few of them actually. And just to say, I love doing that, and let me just do that. And
now's actually a great time to do that. These AI tools can really help out with animation and stuff. So
Yeah.
doing it on a low budget.
Exactly. And the thing is too, with the animation, it's hard to tell if it's AI because like with the two-dimensional drawings that I have, kind of not as basic as The Simpsons, a little bit more art into it, but nothing like, spectacular, but more of, because it's more of getting the comedy point through, and then having characters that are animals, which tends to kind of draw people more than the human characters sometimes. So I was thinking about that. The animation might just be the way.
I would do that. I could see that being success because when I marketed my book that did all right, making between selling through the Amazon, these other things through the publisher, I also put the digital files for my books on my own website. I probably made close to 100K off my book, which obviously isn't great, but for most people that don't have a publisher, that's also way better than the norm. I think that average book baby customer doesn't even make 10K on their book.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, it's hard, but if you're going to do it, definitely have an audiobook version because that will sell way better. And it's probably a mistake for me to not do the audiobook. I might have made a lot more had I focused on an audiobook. And AI has made that a lot easier now too.
Yeah.
But I just know from experience, man. And if you have more experience in this world than I do, people love comedy. They love entertainment. If you can make the truth enter, like you just morning or last night's stream, you're talking about Idiocracy, which is truth and entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
And you haven't seen Office Space, but also truth and entertainment. And I thought I didn't quite finish your stream. I'm surprised nobody brought up Team America World Police. But
that's
I thought Ball Chasers was a mixture of comedy and truth. I think that was perfectly comedy and truth. You could deliver comedy, but in the same time hide the truth, bring the truth through it.
Well, it is, but so many people are for sports that I'm putting myself back in a niche, a very tight one, because I'm going against it. Like people
Well,
don't
people
want
could still laugh at it though, even if they like sports. It's still funny.
I mean, it's touching something that some people like they hold very
That's
close.
what they need, though. Look how many people I've pulled. Look how many people in my community were like the most diehard sports fans that now are so grateful they found me because I pulled them out of it and they realized they were wasting their life.
Yeah. No, well, you definitely help people with that, and it does improve their life to see that, okay, they were wasting it on that. And it could, I mean, it's possible. The fact that the video didn't even get 200 views, it just tells me like that's kind of the test in the water to see, is the water warm, cold. And I think, yeah, the car.
But is it the context or the algorithm?
Don't let that be the full test, because you
Yes.
put yourself in the gutter of YouTube by covering the content that you do.
Yes,
Like I have.
that's true. That's true. He's right.
Yeah, you're right about that. I just
so you got to test it out in some other places. I mean,
yeah,
and you can always create a new channel too. You can always create a new channel to market your products. In fact,
Yes.
I would do that once you create these cartoon things, just brand new channel, because again, you can with your AdSense accounts, you can monetize multiple channels.
Yeah,
and the new channel with a fresh start.
Could
do a lot better. I mean, look how many people will post their first video on YouTube and it gets 500,000 views.
Yeah. That the only thing is with a new channel, if it's not monetized and say I get the 500,000, they don't pay you for that until
but boom, you're already off to a great start, and now you can instantly monetize the channel, and now you're set going forward.
Yeah, he's right. He's right.
I mean, it's and that would I have the first channel I ever had on YouTube was from 2006, and I still have it. It's got a little over 2,000 subs. I don't have any videos. I made everything private. It was I was doing like a lot of commentary on like food ingredients and stuff like that. And when I wrote Spellcaster, the book before Secret Words, about the phrases and basically spelling and stuff on how it's spelling, I had a few videos about that on there. It didn't really do great, but this was when I set that channel up in 06. It went up to like 3,000, but then that was around 2009, 10, maybe even 11 is when Google, I think, had bought it a couple years before, and they gave people like a couple of years, and it was a date saying, okay, you have to have a Gmail to have a YouTube. So I had that, like you were able back then. I had signed up to YouTube with a Yahoo email. So this was when in 06 and even up to like I think 09 and 10, you could sign up without Gmail. But once they, I guess, made everything like nailed it down, it was like you need a Gmail. So I had to switch. I had to create a Gmail, which they didn't use the Yahoo anymore. It uses that, and I stepped away, and I went to Blog Talk Radio, and I would do interviews there. I would do a show in 2014, 2015, and I came back to YouTube around 2018. And that's when, we had a different channel. We talked about dating and stuff. And eventually, we sold that channel and we did this because I just saw that community was just too hostile, crazy.
It was the asylum.
Yeah, it was just asylum. Yeah. And I mean, if I would have did it from maybe a different angle, there is potential to make a lot of money in that field, but the people in that field is just something like a Scribe keeps trying to push me back to it. And I said, when you're in a place where you don't feel that you can trust the customers or whoever you're going to be serving, I said, I just don't think it's really the place to be. Maybe if I have money, I could always go back to it. But now it's more or less like if I have enough to just relax and retire, I mean, who knows? Nobody's promised tomorrow. I'm just trying to figure out like what is, where am I? Like that's why the human origin thing is so passionate with me. But then I get back into just talking about world stuff. Like, we're talking about stuff because this stuff matters, saying,
Here's
hey,
what also what I'm going to say to you. I heard what you said earlier about $1 million and some dollars to retire. Man, there's no guarantees with as crazy as everything is right now. I mean, you get a health problem, it might cost $1 million to be in the hospital for a week in the not too distant future.
Well, the one thing that I thank goodness for is that if I'm not on the books, which I'm not, they tell me, okay, you can come to the Veterans Hospital for free. So if I'm working on the books, I even told them, I said,
unless
look,
all that stuff gets cut.
Yeah, if that get cut, then I'm just at a point where, it gets to
it
where
could literally get cut in the future. I mean, we have such a crazy debt crisis. They could screw us on every front and just leave us with a big bill to pay.
Yeah, you definitely got a point there. So $1 million might not even be. I would think that safely.
So here's what I was going to say, because here's my philosophy: that there will never be a retirement. There will just be continual work and slaving away. So if you're going to slave away for the rest of your life, slave away at something you love.
Yeah,
exactly.
You love speaking truth and making cartoons. Then make that the rest of your life's work. Because again, if I have to do this until the day I die, I don't feel so bad about speaking out against tyranny every single day. I can do it. I have the motivation to do it every day.
Mm-hmm.
So.
No, you're absolutely right. And you know what? I've been debating on that, and it's been a thought in my mind back and forth, like just a battle, because I know that's where my heart's at. I've always wanted to do cartoons. I've made a few, but nothing serious. And I thought about it. I said, if I spark up the other channel again and start uploading, it's already at a little over 2,000. So all it would need is the watch time, and then I could monetize it. So with this being that this channel is already monetized, when you do it that way, they monetize it like within like almost immediately, because all of the paperwork and everything has been done for this channel. And I would just do the cartoons. You're right, because that I would probably stream a lot less here, probably once a week, and then say, okay,
that could be your paywall. That could be your paywall. People want to hear the maxed out stream. So, hey, you want my stream? Hey, listen, I got to pay the bills. That's now on the paywall. You guys missed the stream? Boom, $5 a month.
Exactly.
Get 1,000 people on there. Boom, there's your $5,000 a month. Plus now you can live on that. Plus you can make whatever else you make off your cartoons, your book, whatever you're putting out.
Yeah.
Manly P. Hall, my favorite author. Look how many books he put out that are 20, 30 pages long. Sometimes I think that's what I should be doing, a 20-page book. People might actually read that in this short space.
Yeah, Manly P was the man, bro. He Manly P has such great lectures. He and that I didn't know he had 20, 30-page books.
A lot of them. A lot of his books are like 20 pages long.
Wow, because I've listened to his lectures. They have a lot of them on YouTube. Because I thought to myself when I was doing the American Zombie, that's what was taking me so long. I said, man, this book is basically just beating me, and I'm never going to get it done. And then I started watching a lot of these small author channels like April Dunford, Anna David. There's one called Film Courage, which is it's a bigger channel. But I would listen to the authors and listen to their, what they have to say. And she made a good point. She said, look, she was talking to a guy on a plane. She goes, out of 300 pages, what do you read? He said 150 at best. She said, so why not just write a book that's 150? And you had a better idea saying, look, don't even have it over 100. But the Manly P. Hall, that might be the way. 30 pages, 20 pages, and just pump them out. And the next thing, a 20-page book, I could pump that out in a week. And
you can probably do it in a day if you really get in a groove.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, and then build up a library and say, okay, even if I sell a couple over here, a couple over there, those will add up.
People read everything digital now too. So, I mean, like if you went to the store and looked at a 20-page book, you'd be like, that looks skimpy. But in a digital download, I mean, it's probably just perfect. It's just, they can read it. And like, if it's good, they're like, oh, I enjoyed that. Hey, has you got anything else like this?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So
use the tools you have, MD, because I mean, we're in an age of AI now, and just use it to your advantage. Living the time you're living in.
Definitely. Yeah. The AI, the AI is a game changer. It's like we have to adjust because it's like a lot, like even what Zach was saying. I mean, a lot of these jobs, I mean, it's clearly eliminating stuff. We thought it would come for the coders and stuff first. It actually came for the creators, I noticed, with the creation part. And then, of course, I have friends that code for Google. Like one guy, he was making about, I think it was like 110,000 a year. And he said that it's not going to last, though. He said because
Yes.
they're he goes there. He knew. He goes, look, man. He goes, I'm training AI. They're making me train it. He goes, it's going to eventually be doing what I'm doing.
Where I live, they were just offering people to come out and clean for the robot so the robot can learn how to clean. It's like they're just coming out here, they're going to get paid one day, and then now next thing you know, you're not going to have a job anymore. Robots are going to be taking your cleaning jobs.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah,
That's right.
this is it's tough too, because getting older, being Gen X, it's like I was talking to somebody at the hospital the other day, and I was telling him, because he goes, hey, we have like a program here, you could maybe do some work here for a month. And I go, yeah. I said, once as you factor in age into it, I said, I can't really do construction or carpentry too much anymore. Definitely not carrying shingles on roofs anymore, doing that. I possibly could, but I'd probably be worn out. I mean, I did sheetrocking a few years ago, and I was just spent. I was like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. So it's like, I figure my academic, with the cartoons and being able to write scripts, that would probably, I'm going to go in that direction, man. I really appreciate that, because I was stuck on it, and I was saying, I guess maybe it's some type of fear, but it's not really fear, because it's something I love, and it's saying, okay,
Here's something else you need to do. You have to look at, there's a way to get it. I haven't taken the time, but I know it's out there. You need to get the buzz. If you're going to be on YouTube doing this, you need to figure out the buzzword list for YouTube. People have their hands on this. I know it exists. It's the things that YouTube really targets. And when you do the things that they don't want you to do, you end up in the gutter. So you got to figure out a way to work around that list.
Yeah, you got to play the game. You got to play the game.
You can still get the message out there, but if you're like, that's on the list, okay, what other creative way can I do this without doing it that way?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
and you're saying like the list.
But remember, there's also a lot of platforms out here. You can upload your stuff everywhere too. And
Kick and Rumble. You can put some of your cartoons on Kick and Rumble too. Just see how they go.
Well, you can try there, but Rumble, unless you're pretty much slobbing on the knob of the Republican Party, you're probably not going to do too well there. Yeah,
Rumble's a tough one, and also you have to, like, I'm looking at it like it has to be monetized. I mean, YouTube is if like with the buzzwords, I guess for the titles of the videos, the one that like those buzzwords that give a possibility of it going viral, or even thumbnails.
The buzzwords are mostly things they don't want you to say.
Oh, okay. So to keep away from those words.
Right. Okay. It's like they're the landmines.
All right. So make sure those aren't in the title to the video, and not
and try not to have it in the language either.
Yeah.
And what about not attacking the big players, like staying away from that?
Because that Google, when you upload your video, Google's AI is reading what's in your thumbnail. You know that?
Yes, definitely.
They're looking at everything. They're looking at the whole text. They're looking at everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Every email, even when I send an email on Gmail, it has, if I read one, it'll have like a suggested thing on how to respond. I'm like, this is crazy. It's just everything.
Like what about going after guys like Professor Dave? Is that kind of dangerous because he's a big player?
He's protected. Like I said, I mean, I didn't violate their terms of service, and I played his little clip saying numerology and astrology is stupid, but I ended up getting suspended for 2 weeks. And it's like,
there you go. You go.
If it's that, then his whole channel should be deleted, because he's playing all kinds of footage of other people's clips.
But you know what? You got to play the game. Just stay away from it. I would just stay away from the guy, honestly, MD, because why ruin yourself?
I'm not gonna say anything about. That's the thing. The cartoons allows me just to have fun. Just you
can invent a character that everyone knows is Professor Dave.
That would be hilarious.
Teacher Dave, and just make it look like him.
I mean, I could. I wonder if there's, because I don't want to like say I do.
I would just stay away from altogether. Just make a fake professor with not even related to him.
Even that, it just. See, anything that, say he sees that, or somebody sees it, and you know how it works, they tell him, right? And he complains. So he's their little boy toy already. He could probably write YouTube, because once you get over 100,000, I heard you get more of a
you
number.
Grow quickly. You grow quickly. I twice my channel's been on the cusp of 100K and deleted both times. my sports channel, what was it, at 96K, and then all of a sudden it dropped down to 89K in one night, and for the last 3 years it's just stayed at 89K.
Wow. I've heard that once you hit 100, if you pass like 100 and more,
that's when they send you the plaque, that little silver plaque that goes background, and your channel grows a lot more quickly. You get in a more favorable algorithm.
And I've heard, I don't know if it's true, that you get a number to call. So if something happens, like you get
a point person.
Okay, so so then you have that.
That's how they have the buzzword list, but you can still get it if you're not in that group. The reason I haven't looked into the buzzword list is because I don't want to censor myself.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking that with cartoons, just stick to stuff that's funny. So where nobody will even, they'll just be like, oh, so this is just a cartoon channel and it's meant to entertain and laugh and, just funny stuff. Yeah, it might be maybe a little bit on the Beavis and Butthead side or the King of the Hill, or maybe, something like Mike Judge. When I looked at and seen how he made the Beavis and Butthead, and I said, man, this guy made, tens of millions of dollars doing something he loves to do. He did the voices himself. He
probably sacrificed someone in his family, to be fair.
I mean, it's a possibility. I mean, when I see, because I first saw him on Liquid Television. I remember the day I was hanging with a girlfriend, and we're, every Saturday night I would be like, look, it was either 10 or 10:30 at night. It went for a half an hour, and I'm like, I'm watching Liquid Television. So she would watch it with me, and I remember I would watch it to see Aeon Flux because I liked the animation of that particular cartoon by Tommy Chong, Peter Chung, and Beavis and Butthead came on for about 5 minutes, and it was the frog baseball, the first ever. And when they laughed, I remember we chuckled a little, and then I kind of looked at it as, okay, I'm waiting for Aeon Flux. That's the main thing. And every week I would wait to watch it. And I told Scribe, I said, look, you're looking at 30 years later or more, and nobody, unless you're an animation, person, would know what Aeon Flux even was. But everybody, whether they like animation or not, knows Beavis and Butthead. So something that's drawn on a mediocre to under par level, the sound is basic, but it's all about the script, all about the delivery, the emotion that it evoked. And that seems to be the key. Even though I was like, I grew up watching Bugs Bunny and stuff, and Bugs Bunny was very well drawn. The animation for that with Chuck Jones was amazing. I mean, I have like some books on it, and it's just like these guys were on another level, understanding the squash and stretch and all of those techniques with, and they had really good scripts. The Beavis and Butthead thing, where I see it as being a little superior, or like The Simpsons is, it's basic animation, even under par, and it's just surpassing any other animation that's ever been made. So Family Guy, I think The Simpsons might be number one. Family Guy might be number two. I know Beavis, Mike Judge, the amount of stuff he produced, I thought he made King of the Hill, but I think he was co-producer on that.
He is part of King of the Hill. And by the way, a lot of people from the King of the Hill cast have died, including that Jonathan Joss, right as the new series came out.
Really?
Even that young actress, Brittany Murphy, who dropped dead. She was a voice on King of the Hill. Trust me, all these people in show business have so much blood next to them. That's the only way you make it. Even you can't make it on that. Everybody and their mom connected to MTV is connected to the world of sacrifice. That's how it works. Bob Dylan said it on 60 Minutes years ago to Ed Bradley. That if you want to make it in show business, Bob Dylan criticized him. Everybody knows Bob Dylan doesn't have the greatest voice, but look how big of an artist he is.
Oh yeah, he was.
Ed Bradley cackled back about, who do you have to sell your soul to, Bob? And he's like, oh, And then next thing you know, Ed Bradley's dead. Not even long after that interview.
Really, I didn't know that. Holy smokes!
Yeah, Ed Bradley didn't live that much longer. He died shortly after that interview. It's just like Tim Russer. Tim Russer outed Bush and Kerry on Meet the Press in 2004. About being in Skull and Bones, saying, hey, what are the odds that you guys are the front runners and you're in this 3-2-2? And they're both like, well, we can't really tell you anything. It's a secret society. look at, they report, I can't remember if it was the New York Times or the Chicago Tribune. One of those major papers reported that he was found dead at 2:23, 3:22 in reverse.
Wow. I'm trying to type him in now. Tim Russert.
Tim Russert to Meet the Press is who asked Bush and Kerry in 2004 what were the odds of them both being in Skull and Bones.
Yeah, so that was the guy I remember. And yeah, because he was like, hey, you're in, and Bush just laughed when he said these.
And so did Kerry. They both did.
Yeah, he was like, it's so secret I can't talk about it or something like that.
Right.
I think Bush was saying, wow, and death. So the interview and the death. So Tim Russert died of a sudden heart attack. Holy smokes. And there's they especially the CIA, they say have that heart attack gun like a decade ago with the shellfish.
I think that was back in the 70s that they brought that up.
Oh yeah. So it's like every time I hear heart, I'm like, yeah, they probably got hit with the frozen pellet that melts away and causes that, and just clean, untraceable, or even like that. I forgot the name of the paste they put on the wine glass that was from the movie The Mechanic with Charles Bronson. Where
Sure.
and just it kind of melts into the wine, it leaves no trace, and next it looks like a heart attack, But wow, so he had a heart attack June 13th, 2008 at the age of 58. Look at that.
And Bush equals 58. George W. Bush, the small ways, 58, like secret society. 201 days left in the year there too. The day after his father, by the way, that was the day after Papa Bush's birthday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It just, there's so much murder, and think about what Skull and Bones alias is. They're nicknamed the Brotherhood of Death. And what's crazy is Skull and Bones, that network has everything to do with all the major hospital chains in this whole country, including the Johns Hopkins, which is behind everything. I'm sure you know about the Flexner report that changed pharmacology.
No. What was that? Flexner?
Oh man, you should look into the Flexner report and do a show on that. 1910. He's a graduate of the Johns Hopkins University, which was founded by the Skull and Bones member Daniel Coit Gilman. And the Flexner report, it was written and published by all the major papers in 1910, saying that, this plant medicine stuff is a bunch of quackery and the thing of the past. And we got these new synthetic drugs. And this is the real medicine. And then the Rockefellers came in and spent big money on that and made sure everybody knew about that. And of course, the new synthetic drugs used petroleum, which they were big in business with. Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden you could come in and patent drugs. So every single pill sold in the nation could end up with money in the Rockefeller family's pocket. Where before, any pharmacologist could have been growing the plants right in their own backyard. Yep. So you can't patent that. But yeah, that's what happened to medicine in 1910. Everything just changed with that report from that member of, the Skull and Bones legacy out of the Johns Hopkins University.
Yeah. I typed it in Abraham Flexner, an educator, not a physician, commissioned by the Carnegie Foundation. So that's another one too.
Exactly, the Carnegie family, another one of these big monopolistic philanthropist families.
Yeah. He was supposedly way richer than the Rockefellers, actually. Like he I think they were saying that his thing was in inflation terms to today, like he was basically like a billionaire or something.
Yeah, the steel industry.
Yeah, I remember my brother-in-law worked for New York City Transit, and he was saying under Carnegie Hall, they had a thing called continuously welded rails, CWR, where sometimes the subway, if you're on it, you'll hear the do, 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 do as it goes across the tracks, because where the tracks meet. And the continually welded rail, it's smooth, no sound when you go under Carnegie Hall. As he was telling me, he said, man, you talking, he goes, for them to have us do that under there, he goes, that's serious, pull to be able to do that, and the money and everything. And I was like, wow. So it's like, I think about, I live in New York. I've never even been to Carnegie Hall or Radio City Music Hall. I just, I've never really was a big fan of, kind of just with society. So I guess, I went to New York to see the Bowl like in 2005, and it wasn't a big thing. It's like I mean, even that, when I think about it's just all bread and circuses. Yeah.
Zombie machine sitting out in the cold like that, in the freezing cold. You see a ball go up.
If you ever want to look into some interesting things, you should really look into everything that was going down at that period in this nation's history. That's when school was becoming mandatory and all these things. And you look who was behind the school system, the same people that were behind reports like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Again, this is when the mind control really started and turning. I always call it turning people into essentially, like cookie cutter characters. Everyone's the same ideas, same thoughts, learn the same curriculum.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
exactly, man. Yeah. Yeah. I think I think I'm gonna go to cartoon route, man. I guess I needed to hear that, and yeah, it's like I'll probably like lessen down on the streams, maybe twice a week, then once a week, or I might just go straight once a week. I'll see what happens. This week is I'm not that busy, but next week I'm more busy. Tomorrow I got to get up, kind of early too. It's just, I guess the daily.
It's good when you have good people like like Zachary here, and giving you good ideas for the future. So the streams are helping. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely, man. I appreciate it so much, man. I appreciate you coming on too, man. That was great, man. I'll look for the setting. It says to set it up before the stream, and then I got to send you the invite, I guess. And I had it, Scribe had sent it to me on Skype, on Teams or whatever Skype turned into. But yeah, man, it's this has been great, man. A lot of good advice, Zach. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, you're welcome. I was actually coming on to do my own stream, but then I saw you were streaming, and I thought I'd just hop on with you and have another good conversation. I would like to help you get a bigger subscriber base, regardless if you're going to keep doing this or not.
I appreciate it. Yeah,
I would go the cartoon route. Comedy is probably the number one avenue to even get through to people in the truth realm in the first place. So
yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, I'll set it up tomorrow. The stuff, I guess, I got to open up Teams just to see what he wrote, but it was something like about, he gave me the whole list of instructions to go and enable something for, I guess, other people to stream it. And then I got to send you the invite. And then I guess then it's hooked up, to where I guess you can, like what you were saying, to stream it.
Right, because I could have streamed this to my channel, just so more people become aware of you. That would be my main goal. Not that I don't mind streaming with you either. I mean, you have interesting topics.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'll do that tomorrow afternoon when I get back. And yeah, man.
Independent channels got to support each other. They really do.
Hey, man, it's I thank you so much, man. This is great, man. I'll set it up tomorrow. It's 1:51 over here, so I'm probably I'm gonna get ready to call it a night. But man, thank you, Zachary, for coming on. It's been great. I'll set everything up for when I stream again, and I'll send you the invite. I'll let you know in a comment, or if you unless you want me to write you an email, or I can.
Because I hardly watch anybody else's channel. Yeah. When you just kind of watch one person's channel, you get notified when they go live. I'm busy with my own stuff, so I hardly watch anybody else's stuff. And right now, I'm enjoying listening to your stuff. I was even go back into your older stuff. And I was like, oh, you used to do the dating thing, so I already made a little bit of switch here on topics. But
thanks, man. Yeah, that was the first. The original from 2020. My original from 2006 was more knowledge too. So. Yeah, but I figured maybe I'll do that. I do have a few bits of literature. I was trying to just stay away from it and just keep on. I mean, it's good. I know a lot about it, but I just figure I'd rather do the cartoons. Yeah, just kind of peace of mind.
It makes sense on all levels, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but I thank everybody in the chat. I think somebody did have a question. I had saw it earlier. Man, it was the same guy. So many comments. This one. He says, Zach, this is the first time I ever heard of gematria. I'm also sure everything is rigged. I don't understand why it is the way it is. Any recommendations where to start with gematria?
The reason they do this is because of Kabbalah. This is a component of Kabbalah, which is a spiritual belief system, and there's a dark half of it, which is alluded to in a lot of things. Once you learn to see, that's the thing. When you don't recognize symbolism, when it's shown to you, you don't get it because you're unaware of it. I mean, that's the thing about knowledge. Like, oh, now that I know that, God, I'm seeing the same thing everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Everyone was watching that Stranger Things show, not understanding why they entered the tree to go into this dark underworld. That's the dark half of Kabbalah, through the dark half of the tree of life.
Wow.
But a good place to start, honestly, is with my books. I mean, there's not a whole. I learned about this from Manly P. Hall, who wrote a small section on this in the Secret Teachings of All Ages, and just kind of left it to the reader to do the real research, which is exactly what I did. I said, okay, I'm going to put this to the test. I was trying to figure out. I knew there was something about numbers and rituals from 9/11 on until I found this word in 2013 through Manly P. Hall. And that's the beautiful thing about Manly P. Hall. He put a lot of things out there that almost nobody else ever talked about, as far as I know. So
yeah, and he had a very, I think he had a mysterious death, right? Something like that.
He died by the old 201 code, and I haven't really talked to you that much about 201. But there's a reason the Twin Towers went down to 0 before they came back as 1. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
And yeah, GG with Gematria. If you check this right here, Number Games with Zachary K. Hubbard. This is the channel to watch, and you will learn a lot about Gematria.
You can search for my books too and download them for free. Everybody's posted my books everywhere to download for free. So if you look, you will find my books for free downloads as well. You don't have to buy them. And my first book, Letters and Numbers, if you read the first 100 pages of that book, the book's 800 pages long, but the first 100 pages is really a in-depth introduction to this information and why they do this and where it comes from and what you need to know.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I like the fact you're putting in the occult, mixing in with the numbers, because my personal belief is that plays a large role in our world that we're living in. So, dark magic, or however you want to call it, black magic that's going on.
It's all, this is a big bread and circus. This is a big, everything is orchestrated. The way you look at it, the numbers. Zach's done immense research into this. It's amazing. It's just, and it's real. It's something that somebody can.
But is it demonic? All these numbers, because it just seems like it's a level. Yeah, that's what it seems like. Something in another dimension putting this thing together. You know?
Yeah, but we need this type of knowledge. It's definitely important. GG. I thought he knew. I guess he didn't know. He must have came from, I don't know, probably somewhere else. GG. Gona GG. No, that's cool, man. Definitely check this out, GG, and everybody else, if you want to know Gematria and learn some knowledge, man. I'm kind of falling asleep. It's almost 2. Zach, man, thank you for coming on. Misdirect Scribe. I'm probably gotta write him and let him know he hopped off. I think he wanted to ask Zach something, but then he eventually hopped
We'll do it another time. All right, get some rest, you guys.
Definitely,
have a good evening.
Thank
Have
you.
a great night, everyone. Thanks for coming on, Zach. Appreciate it.
Bro. Take care.
Have a good night. Thank you. Everybody in the chat, thank you too. Mr. Rex, take care. Have a good night.